Chapter 505. Sheng Bowen sighed and shook his head. Don't blame me for not reminding you when the time comes. Third brother, I noticed that you have improved a lot after you got married. It's a good thing, and Xiao Ran has contributed the most. Whatever the case may be, the old man was happy despite their disagreement. At the very least, third brother was thinking about the safety of Huang Yao, and not colluding with those messy people outside. The old man had looked into the relationship between third brother and Sheng Xiao, and found that they had definitely not met in private. Grandpa, don't be offended by third brother. You know he has always been straightforward. How can I not know? Let's eat. Grandpa Sheng nodded happily. If it was in the past, Gu Xiling would have taken the opportunity to mock him. But now that her position in the Sheng family was worrying, she had to swallow her anger, even if she was unwilling. By the way, Xiao Ran, you should go to the company as soon as possible and help third brother. Then I will be more assured. I know, Grandpa. Gu Xiling felt that she was an outsider from the beginning when she saw this scene. She had only made a small mistake in the Gu family, and Grandpa Sheng had started to ignore her and her identity. What was more ridiculous was that Sheng Kai, a man who could not even give birth to a child, dared to ignore her like this. If it was not because of their friendship in the past 6 months, she would have exposed this matter long ago. How could she let this man ride on her head? But now it seemed that it was not the time to play this trump card. If the Gu family's situation worsened, she could use this card to protect her position, or exchange it for a chance to support the Gu family. Therefore, Gu Xiling ordered the kitchen to prepare supper. She wanted to send it to the CEO's office personally. It was not a good idea for Sheng Kai to sleep in the office after the charity banquet. However, as he watched Gu Xiling drive away, Sheng Bowen could not help but hold Hu Ran's hand. I can see that second brother's secretary knows that he is in a bad mood these days. She deliberately showed off in front of him, and he did not reject her. If second sister-in-law goes there and sees something unsightly, I'm afraid it will be a good show. Hu Ran was stunned. She looked at Sheng Bowen's side profile. Are all the men in the Sheng family so heartless? Then you've wronged the men of the Sheng family. Eighth brother is a typical infatuated man. What about you? Third brother did a double take and grabbed Hu Ran's hand tightly. I didn't have any experience in love before I married you. I didn't have any deep contact with girls, because I know that my marriage is not up to me. That's why I don't understand why eighth brother would give up everything for Chi-Chi. Even now, I'm still confused. I don't know what it means to care, what it means to like. However, I'm willing to try with you. Are you willing to accept a person like me who doesn't understand? Hu Ran smiled when she heard him being so honest. Got it, Mr. Idiot. Let's take it slow. At least we don't hate each other now, right? Sheng Bowen smiled. It's late. Let's go back to our room and rest. Speaking of which, the two of them were only lying on the same bed. The most intimate contact they had was just a hug. They had not even kissed. Even so, as third brother had put it, love was not something that could be rushed. They did not want to recklessly take over each other's bodies before they were sure of anything. What if they got divorced in the future? Wouldn't that be too much of a mess? The night was getting darker. The wind was getting colder. Gu Xiling drove to Huang Yao. Seeing that the lights were still on in the CEO's office, she took a deep breath and comforted herself. Wasn't it just an apology? For the sake of the future, she could endure it. So, she took the pastries into the elevator and went straight to Sheng Kai's office. At this time, the secretary was taking care of Sheng Kai. There was tea and pastries in front of him. Gu Xiling saw that no one was going to inform her, so she pushed the door open. She saw the secretary standing beside Sheng Kai. There were all kinds of pastries in front of him. She immediately understood what was going on. Madam, the secretary was a little panicked, and quickly called out to Gu Xiling. You didn't come home for a few days. I was worried that you would be hungry and cold. It seems that my worries were unnecessary. Gu Xiling looked at Sheng Kai and said self-deprecatingly, Your secretary not only has a good figure, but she probably won't covet your brother. So you can rest assured. Am I right? Sheng Kai stopped working and looked up at Gu Xiling with a frown. What are you thinking about? I know you don't want to see me. We agreed that I would leave the Sheng family after giving birth to the child. From then on, we would have nothing to do with each other. Maybe I'm too stupid, or maybe I've fallen for you. But you obviously don't think so. Gu Xiling put down the pastries and was about to leave. But before she left, she reminded Sheng Kai, "It's not that I don't agree if you want to mess around outside. But you have to pay attention to hygiene and contraception. Although I'm not as glamorous as before, the Sheng family is not a place that anyone can enter." Having said that, Gu Xiling left. Sheng Kai's handsome face tensed up, but he did not chase after her. "CEO, Madam seems to have misunderstood." "It's a misunderstanding." Sheng Kai did not chase after her. He was the CEO of Huangyao. But what about his wife? Yet he was still thinking about Zhongting and eighth brother. So he donated the ring he gave him without even blinking. "Then CEO, you should rest." The secretary was secretly delighted. "You can go. I don't need you here." The secretary took the opportunity to hug Sheng Kai and pressed her soft body against him. "CEO, do you know that I like you? I know that it's not easy to enter the Sheng family. I don't want to enter either. I just want to be with you like this. That's enough. I'm married." Sheng Kai emphasized the fact. "Even if I'm laughed at, I'm still married. But you need someone to comfort you." Sheng Kai did not push the secretary away because he was still angry, especially when he saw that Gu Xiling did not apologize when she came to the office. She was still so arrogant. He was angry. So he directly hugged the secretary and vented his anger. The two of them staged a passionate battle in the office. He was a CEO. How many women could he not have? Must he care about Gu Xiling? Chapter 506. He would not believe that Sheng Xiao had never played with women when he was in his position. After all, Sheng Xiao was not a gentleman in the past, and he would not appear in such places. Unfortunately, he was going to be disappointed, because Sheng Xiao had never had any intimate contact with any woman before Muqiqi. Wouldn't it make him even more unhappy if he dragged the woman he did not like to his bed? Although Sheng Xiao appeared in such places, he only did it perfunctorily with his friends. He did not even bother to look at decent women, not to mention those who had been kissed and touched by others. Sheng Kai could do it, but Sheng Xiao could not do it, because he was a neat freak. So what? Gu Xiling did not know that her husband had cheated on her. No, perhaps she knew it. After such a big fight, it was almost impossible for her and Sheng Kai to go back to the past. But when she thought that her husband could be so intimate with another woman, while she had to compromise and take care of the Sheng family, she felt that it was not worth it no matter how unwilling she was. After a while, Gu Xiling returned to Gu Mansion. When Grandpa Sheng saw her alone, he asked, "Are you still unhappy, second brother?" "I did not dare to disturb you with the secretary," Gu Xiling replied stiffly. Then, she went back to her room. Grandpa Sheng did not look good. He immediately called Sheng Kai. At that time, Sheng Kai and the secretary were in the middle of passion. Grandpa Sheng's call made him regain his senses. When Grandpa Sheng heard his panting, he knew what he was doing just now. He sneered. "You were in the right at first. But now, you can't explain yourself no matter how many mouths you have." Sheng Kai put down his phone. Looking at himself and the naked secretary, he took a deep breath and closed his eyes. "Go home, CEO. Don't come tomorrow." The secretary looked at Sheng Kai reluctantly, but there was nothing she could do. They were just in a trance. "Take care, CEO." Having said that, the secretary took her clothes and left the office. But after she left, Sheng Xiao felt even more lonely. Was he so incomparable to Sheng Xiao in Gu Xiling's eyes? It was a cold night. Because of his injury, the school arranged for Lin Mu, Anne's leave, so that he could go home to recuperate. This was also the counselor's way of expressing his apology. Lin Muan's results in the police academy were excellent, and his skills in all aspects were top-notch. Therefore, a few days of delay wouldn't affect him too much. Lin Muan gladly accepted it, but when he returned to the Lu family, Mama Lu was shocked. Lu Qianqian explained what happened to Mama Lu, who then said with a pained expression, "She's your biological daughter, and yet she's so cruel." "Mommy, it's all in the past. Go and rest. I'll take care of him. Then you guys should rest early too." Mama Lu sighed and returned to her room. thinking that no matter what, she had to go to the Lin family and try her best. Meanwhile, Lin Muan smiled at Lu Qianqian. What should we do? I really wanted you, but now I can't even hug you. Lu Qianqian pinched his ear. Can't you think of anything else other than this? What else can a man's brain think of? Qianqian, let's go back to the room. We've been running and fighting today, and we're all sweaty. Moreover, I'm injured. Can you help me bathe? Lu Qianqian blushed, but she didn't refuse Lin Muan's suggestion. They went to the bathroom together. Lu Qianqian filled the bathtub with water, helped Lin Mu and take off his clothes and laid in. Come in too. I'll be at ease this way. Lu Qianqian saw the bruises all over Lin Muan's body. She couldn't bear to refuse him, so she took off her clothes and sat in his arms. Don't move. That's not what I can control, Lin Muan said innocently. Qianqian, I still want you. I want to feel it for real. We're really together, and the whole world knows about it. Lu Qianqian couldn't do anything to him, so she said, then wait a moment. Seize the time to feel it. You're going to be a police officer in the future. It's not good to be a hooligan. You're wrong. I'm just doing this to you. The next day in Zhongting's office, when Sheng Xiao remembered that Mu Qiqi was going to Y City, he quickly contacted Secretary He and agreed to go to Y City to meet a very important person. Then, he arranged for Su Che to go to Y City first. He had to arrange the hotel and other matters properly. He just had to wait for his little one to go there, and then he could give her a surprise. Mu Qiqi replied to her tutor in the university that she would attend the academic exchange. She wouldn't miss the opportunity, but Feng Shanshan winked at her. Won't the crown prince be worried if you go to Y City? Why should I be? There are many elites attending the exchange this time, and some of them are from rich families. I'm planning to find one of them. Why would Sheng Xiao let you go with us? Just do your best. Mu Qiqi's expression was indifferent. Now you know why I don't want to talk to you in the university, don't you? You're just so boring. Mu Qiqi shrugged to show that she didn't care. Still, she was a little reluctant to be apart from Sheng Xiao for 4 days. Although she had been laughing at Sheng Xiao's midlife crisis these days. Could she be? With that thought, Mu Qiqi went straight to Zhongting after school. Since it was still early, and Sheng Xiao was busy with work, Mu Qiqi stayed in her office to read. There's a limit to peeking at me. Mu Qiqi put down her book and couldn't help chuckling. You can tell? Is it written on my face? It's because I'm going to Y City tomorrow morning, so I want to see you for a while. Mu Qiqi said helplessly. If only you could change your size, I could just take you away. I wouldn't have to be afraid no matter where I go. Because of Mu Qiqi's sudden attack, Sheng Xiao gave the designer a break, afraid that she would find out that he was preparing a wedding ring. You don't have to work so hard. It's just 4 days. I'll be back soon. Easy for you to say. Mu Qiqi snorted. How could she sleep well without someone warming her bed, bathing her, drying her hair, or coaxing her to sleep? But Feng Shanshan said that there would be a lot of rich kids joining this time. There are a lot of outstanding youths. You filthy thing. Do you need love? After hearing this, Mu Qiqi immediately surrendered. I'll help Feng Shanshan find someone. You want to see other men? Chapter 507. Come to think of it, Sheng Xiao was an all-powerful figure in school back then. Even now, he was an outstanding alumnus of Shengting University, and Mu Qiqi could still occasionally see her man's handsome face on the school's bulletin board. At that time, her heart would be filled with pride. While Mu Qiqi was in a daze, Sheng Xiao suddenly asked, Is your team staying at Ruisin Hotel? Mu Qiqi nodded. You even know that? Sheng Xiao did not say anything else. He continued working until the last meeting was over. Mu Qiqi did not think much about it. It was normal for Sheng Xiao to know her movements. She did not feel that she was being controlled at all. Sometimes it was just for safety. So, she did not understand why people who loved each other would yearn for the so-called freedom when they were loved and pampered. It was clearly because they did not love each other enough. Qianqian is going to announce her appointment tomorrow. You should help to keep an eye on her. There is someone in charge, Sheng Xiao replied. Moreover, Lin Muan is here now. There will not be any big trouble. That's true. Having said that, Mu Qiqi walked to Sheng Zhao's desk. Then, she propped her head on her hand and stared at her man very close to her. Then, do you think third brother and third sister-in-law are sleeping together now? After hearing this, Sheng Zhao could not help but grab Mu Qiqi's arm and pull her away from the office chair. Then, they took the elevator to the parking lot. Su Che was waiting downstairs. After getting into the car, Sheng Zhao said in a low voice, "Raise the partition." Mu Qiqi was stunned. "I see that you are very free. You want to pay attention to everyone's sexual affairs. Did I not feed you enough? I don't have other friends. These are the only ones I can tell you." Mu Qiqi quickly explained. She saw Sheng Zhao unbuttoning his shirt. "Although I like your body very much, Su Che is in front. You should be careful." Sheng Zhao put his arm around her neck and pressed her into his arms. He whispered into her ear, "I will let you go for now. Otherwise, others will hear your beautiful moans." This man always used these tricks to deal with her. He would go into heat 100 times a day. However, Mu Qiqi was not tired of it when her physical strength allowed it. That evening, Sheng Kai returned home, but Gu Xiling was completely unwilling to look him in the eye. Moreover, he and third brother had been having a dispute over the company's decisions recently. So the whole family ate quietly and had no intention of talking at all. Gu Xiling was the first to finish eating. She got up from Sheng Kai's side and said to Grandpa Sheng, "Grandpa, I'm going back to see my father tonight." "Go," the old man said coldly. Gu Xiling was clearly trying to avoid Sheng Kai, and anyone with eyes could see it. "I'll go with you," Sheng Kai suggested. "I haven't seen father-in-law for a long time." "I don't want to be with you," Gu Xiling said directly. "Co Sheng, you're very busy every day. I don't want to waste your time. You can go back to the company to work overtime. Anyway, there's a secretary to take care of you, so you don't have to suffer in front of me." After that, Gu Xiling went back to her room and packed some clothes, planning to go back to her parents' house for a short stay. No matter how cheap Gu Xiling was, she would never stoop to that level. Sheng Kai did not chase after her, because he was hurt by Gu Xiling's sarcastic words. Although he did let Gu Xiling down yesterday, didn't Gu Xiling let him down on a spiritual level as well? Why did it have to end up like this? Grandpa Sheng questioned Sheng Kai at the dining table. "I'm already punishing Xiling even if she said something wrong. As a husband, how could you hang out with your secretary during this time? Do you still want this family? She only has eighth brother in her heart. Don't you know who she has in her heart? If she only has eighth brother in her heart, she wouldn't have bothered to help you over the last 6 months. Especially after the incident with Zhongting was exposed, she would have gone to eighth brother. Is your pride worth that much? Don't blame me for not reminding you. I don't need someone with a disharmonious family to be the heir of Huang Yao." With that, Grandpa Sheng rose from the dining table and left the dining room. Sheng Kai said nothing. He looked at third brother and his wife for a while. "You should be glad that I've become like this, right?" Third brother raised his head and stared at Sheng Kai. "Aren't you childish? Did I cause you to become like this? Of course it's not you. It's eighth brother who colluded with you." After hearing this, Sheng Bowen felt that he had eaten enough. He put down his bowl and chopsticks. "Second brother, it's not that I want to hurt you, but you really don't have the right to let eighth brother deal with you." After that, third brother turned to look at Who Ran and asked, "Are you done eating?" "Yes, let's go back to our room." Who Ran nodded and got up from the dining table with Sheng Bowen. Sheng Kai sneered and flipped the dining table. Since the whole family did not want to see him, it would be fine if he went back to the company, right? Did they say that he didn't even have the right to be in Sheng Zhao's heart? Was that so? Gu Xiling drove back to Gu Mansion in the middle of the night. Then she saw her father going crazy. Mama Gu and a group of doctors tried to hold him down and inject him with a tranquilizer. But such a scene made Gu Xiling's hair stand on end. "Mom, is Dad's condition still not getting better? I've tried all kinds of methods, but he just doesn't want to take the medicine. If he doesn't take the medicine, he can't calm down," Mama Gu replied. "Why did you come back? You have to stay in the Sheng family with the current situation." "Mom, I'll go back tomorrow." "I'll accompany you tonight. Because whenever Gu Xiling thought of Sheng Kai and the secretary together, she felt nauseous. She was the young lady of the Gu family. When had she ever suffered such humiliation and pain? Then go back to your room and sleep. I'm afraid you'll be afraid if you stay here. Afraid of what? Mom, I'll definitely protect the Gu family. After that, Gu Xiling walked to the doctor and took the initiative to say, I'll hold Dad down. You guys do the injection. Miss, can you do it? The butler was very worried. What if old master hurts you? I'm not afraid. What was there for her to be afraid of now? At that moment, Gu Xiling thought it through very clearly. Since Sheng Kai had let her down, there was no need for her to be virtuous. He could look for his secretary, and she could look for her lover. She, Gu Xiling, would definitely not be taken advantage of. As for the Sheng family, she naturally had to stay. She had bet her whole life on her marriage. If she lost her man, would she lose her wealth as well? Moreover, third brother and his wife were eyeing them covetously. Perhaps one day, they would threaten Sheng Kai's position. What sincerity? Just feed it to the dogs. Since she was born into a rich family, she would fight to the end. The Sheng family would wait and see. Chapter 508. The next morning, Mu Qiqi came out of the bedroom with her luggage. Sheng Xiao followed her and sent her to the school assembly point. The strange thing was that the man did not respond to her reluctance to leave. 2 days ago, he was in a hurry to get married. But today, he did not even give her a hug. Mu Qiqi suddenly felt that the man must have done it on purpose. He deliberately made her worry. Feng Shanshan saw Mu Qiqi was in low spirits, so she sneered. Do you have to be like this? We have only been apart for a few minutes. Feng Shanshan did not understand, and Mu Qiqi did not want to explain. Sometimes, she did not understand why these academic exchanges could not be held in Jianshuan. Did they have to go so far away from Y City? Since we are out, there will be a party tonight. Mu Qiqi was speechless. Could she say that she did not want to attend? Everyone, be more enthusiastic tonight, and show the vitality of a university student. No one is allowed to leave. After they got into the car, the tutor said to the students who were participating in the exchange meeting, especially you, Qiqi, you've always been reluctant to participate in school activities. We all know that you're a special case, but you have to actively integrate into school life. Got it. Mu Qiqi was helpless. Any activity, except for work, would be boring if she was not with Sheng Xiao. She felt weak at the thought of leaving him for so many days. On the other side, Su Che had already prepared the documents. President, we can go now. Sheng Xiao put on his camel windbreaker and went to the parking lot of Zhongting. After a while, he also set off for Y City. It was quite interesting when he thought of the little one's expression when she left in the morning. At the same time, Lu Holdings was very lively today. It was an important occasion for Lu Qianqian, the eldest daughter of the Lu family, to announce her inauguration. The uncles of Lu Holdings expressed their strong dissatisfaction with Lu Qianqian, but they could not stop Lu Qianqian from taking the position. Because not only the people from Zhongting were present today, even Lin Mu was beside Lu Qianqian. He was on leave because of his injury, so he could attend Lu Qianqian's inauguration. The youngest uncle of the Lu family did not know how Lin Mu dealt with the Lin family, and made him lose the opportunity to form an alliance with Grandpa Lin. In this way, he could not stop Lu Qianqian from becoming the chairman of Lu Holdings, even if he did everything he could. This grand inauguration conference was held in a hotel owned by Lu Enterprises. At this time, Lu Qianqian was already wearing a black professional suit, looking energetic and experienced. In order not to let the inauguration ceremony be affected, Lin Mu not only asked the female bodyguard to follow Lu Qianqian closely, but also arranged for a few people to restrict the movements of the Lu family's uncles. At 9 o'clock in the morning, the inauguration conference officially began. Looking at this silly little girl standing there, I feel like it's a joke, but there are so many people supporting her. He's Chairman Lu's only descendant, so it's only natural for him to inherit the Lu family. It would be strange if the uncles of the Lu family didn't eat her up. Just wait and see. There were quite a number of people below the stage who were not optimistic about Lu Qianqian. After all, she was just 20 years old and lacked experience. However, Lu Qianqian walked up to the stage and faced the applause. She stood on the MC's podium and faced the hundreds of shareholders and employees of Lu Holdings. She looked very calm. I know that until now, there are still many people who don't think highly of me and think that there is no hope for Lu Enterprises. They even think that I'm overestimating myself. How can a silly little girl shoulder the responsibility of a company and support such a big company? But I feel that I'm the only descendant of my father. If I'm not qualified to stand here, then who is? Who hasn't been young before? If you don't even give me a chance and think that I can't do it, I think that's pure prejudice. Today, I announce that I'm the new chairman of Lu Holdings. I need your help. I will continue to expand the territory on the basis of the original subsidiaries of Lu Holdings and continue to build the Lu Holdings kingdom. And the first thing I do today is to continue to deepen the employee welfare system and create a more comfortable working environment for the employees. The second thing is because of the big projects left by my father, I will hold a meeting with the shareholders in the next 2 days to discuss the results and continue to start. The third thing is to get rid of the parasites who are in their positions but don't seek for their jobs. I have a list in my hand, and I will find time to talk to each of you. At the same time, I will give each department a week. If the situation of each department improves, then Lu Holdings will let bygones be bygones and hope to create a better future with all the employees. In private, we are a family, and everyone can be more casual. But in the company, I am the chairman. No matter how old I am, I will be in this position. I hope to get the respect I deserve. They could not tell that this little girl had some tricks up her sleeve. The shareholders below the stage all showed a thoughtful look. She increased the employee welfare and stabilized the morale of the staff as soon as she came up. However, she also announced that she was going to reorganize the company and gave a warning to those who wanted to fish in troubled waters. It was also a show of strength. She had used both kindness and power, and it could be considered as a beautiful move. At least, this little girl was much better than what they had imagined. She didn't stutter, be nervous, or say random things without any topic at all. It seemed that the future of Lu Holdings was also full of infinite possibilities. Soon, the audience burst into applause. Mama Lu and Lin Mu were the most gratified. However, at this moment, the door of the venue was violently pushed open. A tall and thin man with glasses walked in. Since today is the inauguration conference of the new chairman of Lu Enterprises, can the new chairman also give me an explanation on the spot? You are? I am the person in charge of Qihing Electronics. I want to cancel the cooperation with you, but your board of directors has been delaying the time. When your chairman was alive, I trusted him a lot. But now that he is gone, I think there is no need for us to cooperate. After all, you are a little girl, and it is beyond the risk assessment of our company. I am sorry. I am not deliberately looking for trouble with you on this day. It is just that we have communicated with Lu Holdings several times, but we have not come to an agreement. So I have no choice but to come here. If this was not looking for trouble, what was it? If Lu Qianqian did not handle this matter well today, she was afraid that what she said just now would become a joke. Everyone looked at Lu Qianqian nervously, but Lu Qianqian looked very calm. Other than me, is there any other reason why you want to terminate the cooperation? Chapter 509. Then I think your company is really capricious. You want to cancel the cooperation just because I took office. Are you targeting me? Lu Qianqian refuted him directly. I have seen the case of the cooperation between Lu Holdings and you. The contract has been signed. Aren't you going against the spirit of the contract if you go back on your word, just because I took office? Of course, Lu Holdings will not agree to such an unreasonable request. Do you think that I am inferior to others just because I took office? Lu Qianqian questioned him bluntly. The other party was stunned. Everyone present was stunned too. A 20-year-old girl could say such words with a clear mind. Could you still say that she was not capable? This is not called canceling the cooperation. To use a more professional term, this is called terminating the agreement. The contract states that if one party wants to terminate the contract for subjective reasons, He must pay the other party 15% of the liquidated damages, according to the contract. As long as your company is prepared for the liquidated damages, there is no reason for Lu Holdings not to agree. After all, you are not the only electronics company in the country. It is not that we have no choice. After saying this, Lu Qianqian called the security guards. This is an internal meeting of Lu Holdings. Other than the invited people, not everyone can appear on such an occasion. I hope you will pay attention to the quality of your service. The expression of the person in charge of the security work changed when he heard Lu Qianqian's words. He quickly arranged for the security guards to ask the man to leave. After this battle, all the employees of Lu Holdings could see that this 20-year-old girl was not a paper tiger that would be easily defeated with a poke. And the man just now was not so much looking for trouble. It was better to say that he was looking for humiliation. In fact, Lu Qianqian, Lin Muan, and Lin Muan knew that such an occasion could not be entered easily. But they did not know that this time, it was her uncles who came up with the idea and helped her a lot. She was worried that she could not find a chance to establish her prestige in front of the employees of Lu Holdings. In this case, it couldn't be any better. Lin Muan sat below the stage and read Lu Qianqian's lips. He smiled and said, "Sister, you are so fierce." Lu Qianqian smiled too. Then, she continued to stand on the stage and carried out the press conference until the end. Seeing this, the uncles of Lu Corporation knew very well that it was too late. They could only hope for the future. However, when they realized that Lin Muan's seat was right in front of them, they looked at each other at the same time. Lu Qianqian was born in the Lin family. Although she was at loggerheads with the Lin family now, she was still the blood of the Lin family. Once Grandpa Lin could not do anything to Lin Muan, Lu Qianqian would become the daughter-in-law of the Lin family. Second, this person had a close relationship with Sheng Xiao of Zhongting. Ever since Papa Lu passed away, he had been active around her as Lu Qianqian's boyfriend. Wasn't he the one who created all the bodyguards and security equipment? It meant that with Lin Muan around, it would not be easy to touch Lu Qianqian. Their faces did not look good, but Lu Qianqian did not mind. These people had ulterior motives, and were always thinking about carving up the Lu Corporation. She would always find a chance to make these uncles scram. Soon, Lu Qianqian left the stage and returned to Lin Muan's side. Lin Muan took the opportunity to hold her hand. His eyes were full of pride. "From now on, I will be in charge of being as beautiful as a flower. You will be in charge of making money to support the family." Shameless. Lu Qianqian pinched the tender flesh of his hand. "Did I do well just now? Don't you know how ugly your uncles' faces are?" Lin Muan laughed. "It will be a more dangerous path in the future. It will be full of difficulties and obstacles. You must hold my hand tightly. Don't lose it. I may not be able to give you a mountain of gold and silver, but I can give you the safety you want the most. That's enough. I can't exchange this sense of security for anything." Lin Muan was satisfied. He put Lu Qianqian's hand in his arms. "Go back and rest early. I know you will have a series of meetings in the next 2 days." It was raining heavily in Y City. When Mu Qiqi and the others arrived at the hotel, it was already afternoon. But the sky was dark as if it was evening. Mu Qiqi and Feng Shanshan stayed in the same room. The others stayed on different floors of the hotel, because they could not book the same room. This kind of weather is the most suitable for murderers. Feng Shanshan looked at the pouring rain outside and sighed. "Are you still going to the social gathering in this kind of weather?" "The social gathering is not outdoors. What are you afraid of?" Feng Shanshan raised her eyebrows. "Are you that afraid of Sheng Xiao? He is not here." "I am not afraid." Mu Qiqi was a little sad. "You don't know how comfortable it is to sleep in a man's arms in this kind of weather. All right, clean up and go out for dinner. Lunch is provided by yourself." They changed their clothes in the room and went to the hotel's cafeteria. However, when the waiter saw her room number, he brought her and Feng Shanshan to a private room. "I didn't expect this kind of treatment in school. Madam Sheng, please enjoy." Mu Qiqi was stunned when she heard the words Madam Sheng. The waiter clearly knew her identity. Could it be that the man arranged this? Feng Shanshan did not notice anything. How good was this treatment? But at that moment, a group of men walked past the door of the private room. They were all dressed in black. But she knew the man in the camel coat. Muchichi got up and immediately chased after them. But she saw that the man went into the private room next door. But she also saw the man clearly. No wonder he looked indifferent when he went out in the morning. No wonder he was indifferent to her reluctance to leave. It turned out that he wanted to follow her. What a waste of her thinking and worrying about him. He was too much. Where did you go? Feng Shanshan asked curiously when she saw her go out halfway through her meal. I saw someone I know. You know someone in Y City too? Muchichi cut the steak on her plate angrily. What about the room next door? Sheng Xiao was having a pleasant conversation with the person he wanted to meet. I have heard a lot about you, Chief Sheng. You live up to your reputation. The man said to Sheng Xiao politely. I called Zhongting 2 days ago. The secretary's office replied that someone would come to talk to us. I didn't expect Chief Sheng to come in person. I have some personal matters to deal with, so I came in person. Sheng Xiao's posture was casual, and his eyes were half closed. But this hotel is only a 4-star hotel. We have arranged a 5-star hotel for you. It will be more comfortable for you. Chapter 510. If that's the case, we shouldn't force you. What would happen to the little one if he went to stay in a 5-star hotel? Sheng Xiao did not say anything else. He just smiled and asked the waiter to send something to the little one in the next room. Feng Shanshan was stunned when she saw it. Room card. Don't you have it? You used to be very smart and always fight with me. Why are you so stupid all of a sudden? Muchichi put away the room card and glared at Feng Shanshan. Feng Shanshan froze for a moment and looked surprised. No way. Muchichi, I didn't know that you have the guts to look for another man behind the crown prince's back. Muchichi rolled her eyes and told her. Why don't you go next door and take a look? Feng Shanshan went out of the private room suspiciously. Then she came back after a while. I finally know why we have a private room when the other students have a normal meal. So, I was the only one who slept that night? Feng Shanshan was in a good mood when she thought of that. But you have to come back tomorrow morning. I want to have a better meal. It's rare for me to come out. There are no dead bodies, no maggots, and no giants. I want to enjoy myself. But what about you tonight? Muchichi shrugged. She still had to attend what she had to attend. She just had to stay far away and avoid contact with those men. Otherwise, if someone saw her, she could not guarantee what would happen to those who tried to hit on her. Feng Shanshan also raised an eyebrow. This was not something she should care about. After lunch, it was free time. In fact, it was already 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Muchichi only saw Sheng Xiao entering the private room. She did not know who he met or when he left. This man did not even greet her when he came out today. It was still raining in Y City in the afternoon. The group agreed to have a chat in the hotel. But Muchichi heard a lot of gossip in just a short time. Did you see that super handsome man? I've never seen such a high-quality customer after working here for so long. Of course. I don't know if he's a celebrity. After he checked in, all the female staff in the hotel spread the news. They're all waiting for him to come out of his room, hoping to meet him by chance. Muchichi rolled her eyes, cursing inwardly. That stinky man really is a scourge. After dinner, Muchichi and Feng Shanshan received a notice to gather at the bar on the 2nd floor of the hotel. This was a place provided by the hotel, so the environment was much safer than outside. People from other schools were also gathered there. It was a joint booking by several schools to let the students relax. Muchichi found a quiet corner and sat down. She wanted to pretend that she did not know those crazy classmates. Feng Shanshan, who was used to such an atmosphere, laughed at Muchichi as she sipped her champagne. You must be a good girl at home. You don't attend such occasions, do you? I don't really like it. The air is bad, but it's more interesting than those socialites, Muchichi replied. Since you are a student, the drinks provided tonight are almost non-alcoholic. You can drink them too. Muchichi shook her head, indicating that she did not want to drink. At that time, the people in the group had become familiar with the people from other schools. Some of the boys began to ask about Muchichi. It's the one in the corner, the one who doesn't fit in. She's quite pretty and has a good temperament. Who is she? When the boy from Shengting saw Muqiqi, he immediately said, "It's better if you don't have any ideas about her. If you want to live, she's the third generation of the Red Army. Her grandfather is the old chief of a military district. Her uncle is the mayor of Jianchuan. But the scariest thing is not her background, but her fiancé. Do you know him?" Everyone in the country had heard of Sheng Zhao's reputation. But since they were in different cities, they had never seen him before. "She's the rumored bride." The other party immediately reacted. "That's right. Don't provoke her." "All right. We know what to do." After asking about it, they went their separate ways, except for one person. "Liang Mia's, what are you looking at? She's already taken." The man called Liang Mia's looked at Muqiqi deeply. Then he turned around and went back to his classmates. After a while, there was a commotion in the bar. It was accompanied by screams. But most of the screams were from women. The students from Shengting knew him. After all, he was a famous alumnus. But the people from other schools could not stand it. "He's the best. I'm a man. Even I think he's handsome." Although the people from Shengting were also attracted by Sheng Zhao's good looks, they knew his purpose of coming here. He must be chasing after someone. His upbringing was a little too strict. Although the counselor had asked Muqiqi to join the social gathering, the counselor should have nothing to say since her family had come here. When the counselor saw Sheng Zhao, he stood up and shook hands with him. "It's my honor to see you in such a place, Chief Sheng. I'm here to pick up her family. I have something to do." "Don't worry. This bar is booked by the school. All the guests today are students. And we didn't provide them with hard liquor. Everyone is just having a gathering." The counselor quickly explained, so that Sheng Zhao would not misunderstand. "Thank you." With that, Sheng Zhao looked at Muqiqi. When she saw her man, Muqiqi immediately felt that her savior had arrived. She quickly got up from her seat and walked to Sheng Zhao's side. Sheng Zhao put his arm around Muqiqi's shoulder and left the bar with her. Other than the people from Shengting, all the men and women at the scene were stunned. These two people were actually a couple. "It's my first time seeing such a handsome man. I thought I could create a romantic encounter with him. I knew it. It's impossible for such a handsome man to be single." The two had already left the social gathering. But the rumors about them were still echoing in the party. Sheng Zhao brought Muqiqi back to the best suite in the hotel. But this little one seemed to be angry. She sat on the sofa with her back facing him. "Why didn't you tell me? Tell you that there's such a surprise? Or do you want to get to know the men at the social gathering?" Sheng Zhao sat beside her and turned her body around. "You don't want me to show up? I didn't think so when you didn't show up. But when you walked out, I suddenly felt that the men outside were beyond recognition. They were so crippled." Chapter 511. A big collaboration? "It's a mysterious family," Sheng Zhao explained. "Aren't you going to attend the conference tomorrow morning? Take a shower and go to bed." Muqiqi looked at the man taking off his shirt and smiled. "You even know when I will attend the conference?" "I know more than you can imagine." "That's true. But are you really going to let me sleep so early?" Muqiqi looked at the man's chest up and down. "I know you're tired. I'll let you go." Then, Sheng Zhao patted Muqiqi's butt. "Go. How many days are you staying here? You seem to want me to leave." Sheng Zhao frowned dangerously. Muqiqi ignored him and went into the bathroom. But when she reached the door, she hooked her finger at Sheng Zhao. "Are you really not coming with me?" This little one was too seductive. That night, it was raining in Jianchuan as well. It was assumed that Gu Xiling would not return to the Sheng family with the terrible weather, and would stay a few more days with the Gu family. But after dinner, Gu Xiling drove back to the Sheng family, although she still did not look at Sheng Kai in the eye. "Is your father feeling better?" Grandpa Sheng asked. "Much better. He wants to go back to work." Gu Xiling smiled and answered Grandpa Sheng. "That's good. I'll ask the butler to send some good herbs to your father later. I hope he can recover as soon as possible." "Thank you, Grandpa." Then, Gu Xiling looked at Sheng Kai, who was sitting at the dining table. "Aren't you going back to your room?" Sheng Kai was stunned. He did not expect that Gu Xiling would take the initiative to talk to him. "Then Grandpa, we'll go back to our room." Sheng Kai stood up and followed Gu Xiling back to his room. Third brother and Hu Ran looked at each other. They felt that the relationship between them was not that simple, because the secretary of Huang Yao had been fired. And according to the security guard who was guarding the door, he saw the secretary's clothes were disheveled when she left Huang Yao. That meant that there was something going on between Sheng Kai and the secretary. And how could a proud person like Gu Xiling tolerate being betrayed like this? There were some things that could only be done behind closed doors. Sure enough, once they were back in the room, Gu Xiling said to Sheng Kai, "Later, I can cover for you when you leave. I can go to your secretary to comfort you. From now on, we are a loving couple outside this door. But when we return to this room, I hope you won't touch me again." When Sheng Kai heard that, he grabbed Gu Xiling. "How clean do you think you are? For more than half a year, you slept beside me. But your heart was always thinking about eighth brother. You can't wait to be the wife of Zhongting's CEO, can you? I've told you before that I like strong men. Isn't it only natural that I would think about Sheng Xiao? Besides, we already have a contract between us. Since we've already fallen out, I don't think there's any need for us to get along. Since you're together with the secretary, let her give birth to the child. When the time comes, just bring the child back. I'll treat it like my own." "Gu Xiling, do you know what you're saying? Then let me ask you, did you have sex with the secretary?" Hearing Gu Xiling's question, Sheng Kai choked. He couldn't answer. But Gu Xiling understood what he meant by his silence. "That's it. I'm a neat freak." Sheng Kai couldn't stand the depressing atmosphere. He slammed the door and left. However, this scene was coincidentally witnessed by the old man. Seeing Sheng Kai leave angrily, Grandpa Sheng asked the butler to call Gu Xiling into his study. "Xiling, can't you and second brother stop for a while?" "Grandpa, he and the secretary already have a physical relationship. How can I stop?" Gu Xiling asked him in return. "When can you have a child like this?" Hearing this, Gu Xiling couldn't help laughing mockingly. "Grandpa, don't count on a child. Because Sheng Kai is infertile." When the old man heard this, he frowned. "What do you mean? Don't you think it's strange? We've been married for half a year. Why is there nothing?" "So, I did a checkup for him behind Sheng Kai's back. He's sick." "Is that true?" "I have the checkup report," said Gu Xiling. "Grandpa, what do you want me to count on? He can't even give me a child. And he's with the secretary outside. Anyone would be sad." Grandpa Sheng was silent after hearing this. After a while, he said to Gu Xiling, "Does second brother know? I did it behind his back. He shouldn't know. Go back and rest." That was the conversation between Grandpa Sheng and Gu Xiling that night. It turned out that second brother had that problem. No wonder they didn't have a child until now. If the news that the heir of Huang Yao couldn't have a child got out, not to mention Sheng Kai, even the entire Sheng family would be embarrassed. He had to think of a way to get a child for second brother. Meanwhile, in Sheng Bowen's room, Hu Ran returned to her room. Second brother went to the company again. He probably quarreled with that woman again. As expected, Sheng Bowen sat at the desk and said, "The more second sister-in-law quarrels, the more suffering second brother has in Huang Yao." Even these 2 days, he was absent-minded during the meetings. There are many complaints in the company. Coupled with the matter with the secretary, his reputation in the company is getting worse and worse compared to when eighth brother was in Huang Yao. "So, we don't have to do anything. They will take care of themselves." Hu Ran shook her head uneasily. When Tiffany and company is in chaos, second brother will really dig his own grave. Sheng Bowen turned off the computer and walked to the sofa with the blanket. "I'm going to bed. I have to go to the company early tomorrow." Hu Ran saw him leaning on the sofa. She hesitated for a moment, but still nodded. "Go ahead." Because she was too embarrassed to let Sheng Bowen rest on the bed. In Gu Xiling's room, her mind was in a mess. Although she did not know if it was a good or bad thing to tell Grandpa Sheng about it now, Grandpa Sheng would not chase her out no matter what the result was. Because she knew that this was Sheng Kai's private matter. If she was angered and the matter was exposed, the whole Sheng family would be humiliated. In fact, apart from this reason, she had another plan. She wanted to let Grandpa Sheng decide how to deal with this matter. With someone supporting her, even if Sheng Kai caused trouble in the future, she would have a perfect excuse. Of course, she would never expect that Grandpa Sheng's way of dealing with this matter would be so unexpected. The next day at the Liu family, on the second day after Liu Qianqian took office, she went to Liu Holdings for a meeting as she promised. At that time, Mama Liu planned to visit Grandpa Sheng at the Lin family with a gift. Was he still going to be stubborn even at this point? Mama Liu sent a gift to Grandpa Sheng's ward, but Grandpa Sheng rejected it. Chapter 5:12. Mama Liu did not want to see her off. The two of them still had a long life ahead of them. Grandpa Lin would eventually see Qianqian's capability and character. When that time came, she was not afraid that he would deny it. After a stormy night, the sky in Y City began to clear up. Mu Qiqi's academic conference was held in a top university in Y City. Now, she was on the school bus again. She was going to attend the conference with her group. Sheng Zhao's appearance last night had shocked everyone. So, when they saw Mu Qiqi today, they could not help but laugh at her. It's just a few days. Why are you bringing your family? He has something to do. Mu Qiqi quickly answered. It's just a coincidence. Soon the bus arrived at the university. Mu Qiqi and her group got off the bus. At the same time, students from other universities arrived one after another. Feng Shanshan saw one of the boys. She leaned on Mu Qiqi's arm and said, "You were not here last night. So, I heard some gossip. So that boy is the second son of a mysterious family in Y City. I heard that his elder brother spoils his younger brother very much. He is very scary. He would grant all his requests since he was young." Sheng Xiao told her last night that he was going to meet someone from a mysterious family. He hoped that it was not the same family. So, are you interested? I'm interested, but I need him to like me. Feng Shanshan shook her head. Moreover, once bitten, twice shy. I should find someone who is of a similar background. I don't want to repeat the same mistake. Mu Qiqi did not say anything. She entered the famous university with her group. However, throughout the entire academic conference, Mu Qiqi felt that someone was looking at her. It was a very uncomfortable feeling. Mu Qiqi's feeling was right. There was a pair of eyes behind her. They were studying her all the time. They were curious about her. That person was Liang Mia's. He had always been in a state where he could get whatever he wanted. He was very curious about people and things that did not take the initiative to get close to him. Last night, when he saw Mu Qiqi sitting in a corner and did not want to have any contact with the people around her, he became curious about her. Later, when he heard about her and Sheng Xiao, he became even more curious about her. He did not have any other thoughts. He simply had the urge to get close to her. You've been sitting on pins and needles all morning. What's wrong? Feng Shanshan could not help but ask when she saw Mu Qiqi shifting in her chair. I feel like someone's watching me. Feng Shanshan turned and glanced at everyone, and found that someone was staring straight at Mu Qiqi's direction. Feng Shanshan was stunned for a moment. Then she replied, "You're right. I hate that kind of rude stare," Mu Qiqi said. "He wouldn't go that far, would he? Everyone knows about you and Sheng Xiao. What else could he want?" Mu Qiqi shook her head. Pay attention. Feng Shanshan turned around and looked at Liang Muse again. She realized that he was still looking at Mu Qiqi. He seemed to be thinking about something. Of course, his obvious action was noticed by the people around him. He had been staring at Mu Qiqi all morning. That made Mu Qiqi very uncomfortable. She did not want to have anything to do with the mysterious family. She also hated anything that could threaten her relationship with Sheng Xiao. After the meeting was over, Mu Qiqi left immediately. Feng Shanshan did not even know when she left. She immediately called Sheng Xiao after she came out of the university. But Sheng Xiao was still in a meeting, so he asked Su Che to pick her up first. Feng Shanshan remembered Mu Qiqi's restless look. She quickly went up to Liang Muse and asked, "Young Master Liang, you seem to like staring at my classmate." Liang Muse was tall and thin. He was very handsome. His looks were not top-notch, but he was above average. "I'm just curious about her. If you are curious, please keep it in your heart. If you keep staring at her like that, people will think that you are a pervert," Feng Shanshan said, and turned to leave. Liang Muse frowned. Then he called his brother. "Didn't you say that we're going to eat together? You eat first." I'm in a meeting with a guest. Brother, I'm a little curious about a girl. The other party was stunned when he heard that. A girl? You like someone else? No. I just want to keep staring at her. God bless you. You're not scaring her. The man on the other side of the phone sighed. Go home. Don't go to this academic meeting for the time being. Okay. Liang Muse agreed obediently. He did not mean it. But he could feel that Mu Qiqi seemed to dislike him. Since his brother told him not to go to the academic meeting, he would go home. Liang Muse's brother hung up the phone and apologized to Sheng Xiao. I have a troublesome brother. I'm sorry to let Chief Sheng laugh at me. Is your brother participating in the academic meeting too? I've asked him to go home. He's a little paranoid. Sheng Xiao did not say anything. The two of them continued reading their contracts and documents. Then they signed the contract. I hope we can work well together in the future. Sheng Xiao got up from the sofa and shook hands with the other party. It's my honor to work with Boya. You're too polite, Chief Sheng. I heard that your fiancé is also participating in the academic meeting. I hope we can have a meal together when we have time. Let us be the host. Sure. In just one morning, Sheng Xiao had completed 3 days' worth of work for the deputy CEO. But the little one would have to stay here for 4 days. If he knew this, he would have taken his time. Soon, Sheng Xiao returned to the hotel. But when he saw the little one in the room, he heard her complaining. There's a pervert staring at me for the whole morning. I can't stand it. Suddenly, the conversation between the Liang family and his brother flashed in Sheng Xiao's mind. The Liang family? How did you know? Mu Qiqi was shocked. How did you find out about this? No. I had a meeting with his brother in the morning. I heard them talking on the phone. Sheng Xiao grabbed the little one and put her on his lap. Why are you so uneasy? I think I'm suffering from a disease. I'm afraid that you'll get angry when people provoke me. You care too much about my feelings. Sheng Xiao could not help but pinch her nose. Other women are busy with their vanity. You really don't play by the rules. You're so careful. I haven't even felt the danger, but you're already worried for me. Mu Qiqi was quiet for a moment. She did not say anything, but what she said next shocked Sheng Xiao. Chapter 513. Sheng Xiao looked at Mu Qiqi for a while. Then he nudged her head. How do you know that people like you when they stare at you? Didn't I learn to be narcissistic from you? Mu Qiqi suddenly laughed. I will send you to school in the afternoon. Mu Qiqi nodded. Although she did not know what Sheng Xiao was planning, she did not care about it since she had handed it over to him. After dinner, Sheng Xiao personally sent Mu Qiqi to school at 2:30 in the afternoon. But to Mu Qiqi's surprise, the second young master of the Liang family was absent. Then, Sheng Xiao received a call from the Liang family. Chief Sheng, if you haven't left Y City, can we have a gathering in the afternoon? Sheng Xiao glanced at his watch and asked in return, where? If it was for business in the morning, it should be for personal matters in the afternoon. Although he did not think that anyone would be interested in Xiao Qi, he still wanted to know what the other party was thinking. Mu Qiqi did not know what Sheng Xiao did, or when he left. She only knew that without the man surnamed Liang, she was much more at ease in the afternoon. Feng Shanshan took the opportunity to go out and answer a call. When she returned to the classroom, she said to Mu Qiqi, there is a big case in Jianchuan. The professor asked when we will go back and help him. Aren't there many forensic doctors around? This case is not a small matter. We might need your help. But we have no choice. We can't leave halfway. Mu Qiqi was deep in thought. Then, she continued to focus on the academic conference. On the other hand, Sheng Xiao arrived at the place that the Liang family had arranged. It was a famous Sky Garden Hotel in Y City. I'm sorry to make you come here again, Chief Sheng. You know that the girl your brother has been staring at is my fiancée, right? Sheng Xiao sat down in front of Liang Mai and answered directly. Since you want to meet me, do you want to tell me something? My brother doesn't mean any harm. He knows that he has crossed the line. He has withdrawn from the academic conference in the afternoon, said Liang Mai as he made tea for Sheng Xiao. I hope you don't mind. If you just want to explain, we can solve it over the phone. I want to invite President Sheng and your wife to visit the Liang family. My brother just wants to be friends with your wife. But he's not good with words, and doesn't know how to express himself. I've spoiled him. Liang Mai explained. The situation of the Liang family is very complicated. Chief Sheng, you know that for the past 100 years, we have rarely announced it to the outside world. That's why we are called a mysterious family. My brother is an eccentric. He rarely has anything that he likes. But as long as it's something he likes, I will try my best to get it for him. So the next thing your brother wants is? Sheng Zhao's tone was cold and dangerous. No, CEO Sheng, you've really misunderstood. He wants to acknowledge your wife as his god-sister. To be honest, there are no women in the Liang family. Whether it's our mother or our sisters, they all died young. Perhaps it's because of this that when he saw your wife, he felt that she was very compatible. Sheng Xiao did not want to understand. He could not understand what the Liang brothers were doing. Although they were in a cooperative relationship, he did not want to get involved in any personal matters, especially when it involved his little one. Liang Mai might have noticed Sheng Zhao's indifference, so he quickly explained, "It's okay. I know my request is very presumptuous and difficult to accept. Maybe in the future, if we are fated to meet again, we will talk again. Also, if your family has any illness that is difficult to cure, you can call me. We have a good doctor in the Liang family." The Liang brothers were very strange. Perhaps there were many secrets hidden in the mysterious family, but Sheng Xiao was not interested in them. Thank you in advance. If there's a chance, I must see the medical skills of the Liang family. Sheng Xiao did not reject Liang Mai. He answered politely and gave him a way out. After all, there was indeed a shortage of doctors in his network of connections. I'm really sorry for scaring your wife. Then, I hope you can control your brother well, Chief Liang. At night, in the hotel room, Sheng Xiao told Mu Qiqi the news. Mu Qiqi thought that the Liang family was really strange. Did they want to take someone as their sister just because they caught them? In that case, second young master Liang must have many god-sisters. I will go back to Jianchuan tomorrow. Be careful in the next few days. Actually, I want to go back too. The professor called me and said that there is a big case, and he needs help now. Don't forget your identity. Sheng Xiao reminded the little one. She was only a sophomore. There will be many big cases in the future. You should enjoy the campus life now. Got it. Mu Qiqi hugged Sheng Xiao and bumped her head against him. I will be serious in the exchange meeting. I won't cause trouble for you. If you see second young master Liang again, try to avoid him. No matter what the brother's purpose is, Zhongting will handle it. It's not something you should ask. Mu Qiqi nodded firmly. Not only Mu Qiqi, but Sheng Xiao also asked Su Che to stay, because he would not believe a word of what Liang Mai said. At the same time, Liang Mai was scolding his brother. You can fall in love with anyone but Sheng Zhao's fiancé. If it was someone else, I could think of a way for you. But Sheng Zhao's woman is not someone you can take away so easily. So you told them that I want her to be my god-sister. Liang Miaz looked at his brother and laughed. That will give you a way out. Actually, I just like to observe her. No matter what she does for me, it's fine. Liang Mai looked at his brother, and could not bear to see him like this. Miaz, when you see her, do you think of your mother? Mother used to be a woman, who didn't like to be surrounded by people. She was always quiet, and would sit in a corner alone. Brother, is there really no way? Liang Mai shook his head. Are they married? Not really, but they are engaged and have been living together for a long time. If you are just curious, you should bear with it. After hearing his brother's words, Liang Miaz was silent. Even Liang Mai did not know what his brother was thinking. He was always troubled. If Liang Miaz was interested in something, everything would be easy. But he was afraid that he was interested in someone else's wife, a married woman. Chapter 5:14. In the next 2 days, Liang Miaz did not show up at school. Mu Qiqi could finally heave a sigh of relief. She was not afraid of anything else. She was just afraid of trouble. The two brothers of the Liang family did not look like normal people no matter how she looked at them. No wonder they were called the mysterious family. It would be best if she did not have to see them. We were supposed to return tomorrow, but the professor asked us to go back to Jianchuan first. Let's say goodbye to the team first. Feng Shanshan said to Mu Qiqi. Feng Shanshan said to Mu Qiqi. She could tell that Mu Qiqi did not like interacting with the people in the group. You don't like any rich husband? Let's go. It's more important to go back and investigate the case. Mu Qiqi nodded. Then, she packed her luggage with Feng Shanshan. Someone in the same team could not help but say sarcastically, in the end, she is the one that the professor likes. She is different from us ordinary students. Didn't Feng Shanshan hate Mu Qiqi before? Now you know how to suck up to her? Before Mu Qiqi got into the car, she heard this and said to the person, which eye of yours saw her suck up to me? We are still enemies. Mrs. CEO is so great. You are so loyal to the crown prince. Don't seduce the second young master of the Liang family. The incident where Liang Muse stared at Mu Qiqi for the whole morning had certainly spread like wildfire. Hearing this, Mu Qiqi did not say anything. She suddenly felt that it was unnecessary. This kind of thing would only make things worse. Moreover, who were these people to her? Why should she rush to explain? The car is here. Let's go. The professor is very anxious. They are not busy, but we are. Feng Shanshan said to Mu Qiqi. You're right. Then Mu Qiqi and Feng Shanshan got into the car. After closing the door, Mu Qiqi realized that the person who came to pick her up was Su Che. When did you come? Madam, I haven't left yet, Su Che replied. The CEO asked me to pay attention to your safety at all times. Actually, he was afraid that the Liang brothers would come to harass him. What case is it this time? Why is the professor so anxious? A female corpse was fished out of a dry well on the outskirts of the city. There was a 10-month-old baby lying beside her. It was a mother and son. The professor found that the cause of death of the mother and son was controversial, so he requested an autopsy. However, the awkward part was that this woman was the daughter-in-law of a wealthy family in Jianchuan, but 2 years ago, she ran away from home, and her whereabouts were unknown. The wealthy family felt that there was no need to waste their energy on such a woman, so they did not agree to the autopsy and wanted to close the case as an accident. Feng Shanshan briefly explained what had happened. Tell me first, which rich family is it? To be related to the Gu family, I really want to say that enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. According to seniority, that person is Gu Ziling's uncle, so the professor wants to see if you can help. According to the law, if a criminal investigator has an objection to the cause of death of the deceased, then he doesn't need the consent of the family. Rich families can just exert pressure on them. A small criminal investigation team can't do anything. Who asked the rich to do whatever they want? Feng Shanshan raised an eyebrow. Mu Qiqi rolled her eyes. She too felt that it was a hot potato, and she did not want to take it. Business is business. The higher-ups are scared. What position do I have to convince that family? Mu Qiqi felt that she might not be able to help even if she wanted to. Let's go take a look at the corpse first. Mu Qiqi nodded and called Sheng Xiao, saying that she would go to the forensics lab first. Sheng Xiao had heard about it from Mu Qiqi 2 days ago, and did not say much about it. The matter of the Liang brothers should be over. In the evening, both of them entered the forensics lab, looking travel-worn. When they saw the professor leaning over the sink helplessly, they quickly went up to him and asked, Professor, how's the case? Go take a look for yourselves. The professor pointed at the corpse beside him. Mu Qiqi's courage had taken a qualitative leap after seeing the baby in the man's womb. She was starting to become numb to any scene she saw. Mu Qiqi's courage had increased by leaps and bounds. They changed their clothes and went to the corpse. It was a ghastly sight just to look at the corpse's surface. There are slashes all over the body. His eyes are gone, and his fingernails have been plucked. And there are rocks stuffed down there. Mu Qiqi told Feng Shanshan, after examining the corpse. What's more frightening is that these injuries are not fatal. That's why the professor wants to do an autopsy. The baby was simply killed by a fall. But for such a young child to fall down a 10-meter dry well. Feng Shanshan did not continue, but Mu Qiqi could imagine the scene. Even so, the family still insists it was an accident? You know how much it would affect the rich families if the secret of a rich family is exposed, Mu Qiqi explained to Feng Shanshan. Mu Qiqi explained to Feng Shanshan. Some families can face the law head-on, But most rich people are confused about human life and the law, let alone have a sense of justice. Chi-Chi, do you have a solution? The professor wanted to persuade the family to do an autopsy through Mu Chi-Chi. The victim has been missing for 2 years. Did the other party file for divorce? If it's a divorce case, the family's consent would not be needed, and things would be much easier. Professor, it's not that I don't want to help, but I have nothing to do with the Sheng family anymore. Moreover, I have a grudge with the Gu family. My help might not be as effective as the other police. The professor nodded. You're right. Then let the young masters check the relationship between the victim and her husband. Professor, what about the lover? So far, we haven't found any valuable clues at the woman's place. Mu Chi-Chi nodded and looked at the miserable mother and son. Such a way of death was most likely revenge. Moreover, when the police went to the family for questioning, they did not cooperate. They were afraid of getting into trouble and wanted to protect themselves. The woman who had been missing for 2 years suddenly died tragically. It must be bad luck for the family. There was no telling how dirty Gu Xiling would feel when she heard the news. Mu Chi-Chi only returned home at 10 at night. There were still some thoughts in her mind when she saw her man. Xiao Xiao, the case this time is related to the Gu family. Should I congratulate you? Sheng Xiao smiled, stroking her head. When I was on my way back, I thought about it. I can't help much this time, because we are like fire and water with the Gu family. But when I saw the mother and son die tragically, and I couldn't find the murderer, I felt that I shouldn't. Chapter 5:15. Sheng Xiao hugged Mu Chi-Chi with one hand and drank his tea. His posture was very elegant. It's not difficult. If the family doesn't cooperate, you can publicize the murder case and let the family be under the public's supervision. But the murderer will be alert if the case is publicized. Public opinion is a double-edged sword. It depends on how you use it. At least, it was more reliable than asking her to persuade the Gu family. Mu Chi-Chi thought that she could mention it to the professor tomorrow. What bad luck did the Gu family have? Papa Gu's condition should not be good now. And now something like this happened. Mu Chi-Chi was a medical student. She naturally knew that when a person had schizophrenia, it was almost impossible to be cured in this life. He had to take medicine to control it for the rest of his life. And it could relapse at any time. Although Gu Xiling did not dare to say anything, and even pushed Papa Gu to the public, one day, this mother and daughter would suffer the consequences of their own actions. No matter what bad luck they have, it has nothing to do with you. Go and take a bath. You stink. Mu Chi-Chi nodded and left Sheng Xiao's arms. Speaking of which, this man really did not mind the smell on her body. Sometimes even she hated it. But this man kissed and hugged her whenever he wanted. Now it was up to the police to find out if the deceased was related to the Gu family. It was impossible that Gu Xiling did not know what happened in the family. But she was in the Sheng family. Of course, she had to pretend to be calm. If such a scandal was exposed, the Gu family would definitely become a laughingstock to the public. She did not know how unlucky her uncle was to have such a frivolous woman and die outside. More importantly, Mama Gu called her during the day and told her that Mu Chi-Chi was the assistant of the forensic doctor in the forensics laboratory. The Gu family tried everything to suppress the news. But with Mu Chi-Chi around, the Gu family might not be able to hide anything. How did that bitch have the energy to meddle in other people's business? To get the support of the Sheng family, Gu Xiling told Grandpa Sheng about the incident at the dining table the next morning. My uncle almost committed suicide because his wife ran away. Now that his life is getting better, the woman died outside, and the forensic doctor is still chasing after my uncle. Second sister-in-law. It's a matter of life and death. The job of a forensic doctor is to question the cause of death of the deceased and distinguish between suicide and homicide. Your uncle has a close relationship with the deceased, so of course the police will keep pestering him. The Gu family should cooperate with the investigation to keep up with the development of the situation, right? Hu Ran sneered and caught the sarcasm in Gu Xiling's words. If it wasn't your Hu clan that encountered such a thing, of course you wouldn't be worried. I was a fool for 2 years, But didn't my father also get the respect of others? Hu Ran asked Gu Xiling in return. Moreover, with the series of actions of the Gu family, such as suppression, lying and non-cooperation, if the matter is really exposed, what can the Gu family say? It's not really the Gu family. It's still your maiden family. It's not our place to make a decision on the Gu family's matters. Grandpa Sheng did not want to hear them quarrel. But the most hateful thing is that Mu Qiqi is also involved in it. She is now working in this forensics laboratory. This was the reason why Gu Xiling told him about it. Because Mu Qiqi was involved in it. Then the Gu family should be more careful. Hu Ran reminded Gu Xiling out of kindness. Gu Xiling spent the whole morning talking to win the support of the Gu family. But she did not realize that no one in the family cared about her at all. After breakfast, Grandpa Sheng said to her, "No matter what, if the Gu family needs help, you can look for second brother." How could she look for Sheng Kai? Grandpa Sheng was obviously evading it on purpose. Grandpa, don't you think that Mu Qiqi will use this matter to make a fuss and drag the Sheng family down? This matter has nothing to do with us. Don't force the hatred here. Grandpa Sheng was still clear-headed. After a night of investigation, the police found out that Gu Xiling's uncle had filed for divorce not long ago, and the court had already issued the judgment. So this matter was not really related to Gu Xiling's uncle. At least, the forensic doctor did not need to care about the Gu family's opinion when he wanted to perform an autopsy. Other than the divorce agreement, we also found out something else. The deceased's ex-husband is a scumbag. He is a playboy who often appears in rich families. He is a spendthrift. Because he is in debt and could not get the support of his family, he pushed his pregnant wife out to pay off the debt. The deceased had a miscarriage because of this. She cried all day at home. But this scumbag could not stay still and started to look for mistresses. So he forced his wife out. This kind of scumbag. What a waste of air when alive and a waste of land when dead. Since it has nothing to do with the Gu family, what about the deceased's relatives? The professor asked the investigator. She had a mother, who was also from a scholarly family, but after the deceased ran away from home, she was often bullied by the Gu family. In the end, she died of depression. In other words, we can arrange for an autopsy. The professor grasped the most crucial point. He said to Mu Qiqi and Shan Shanshan, "Go and prepare now." But the higher-ups have not approved it yet. We are following the rules. Don't be afraid of anyone. Having said that, the professor followed Mu Qiqi and Feng Shanshan into the forensics lab. With one cut, the organs on the deceased's body revealed all the secrets. She does not have a spleen. She must have suffered from a related disease, or a serious internal injury. She had no choice but to remove it. Her immunity and resistance are very low. Let's see what's in her stomach. The professor broke it down. Mu Qiqi and Feng Shanshan were shocked. Nails. She must have died from the pain. So cruel. Her body is full of holes. But the real cause of death should be here. Peritonitis caused by the rupture of the stomach. I need to do further tests. Mu Qiqi and Feng Shanshan gasped. They had seen many cases with the professor, but it was the first time they saw such a complicated and cruel way of killing. It meant that it was most likely a vendetta. The Gu family should get the news soon. Qiqi, go and hold them off. The professor instructed Mu Qiqi. Don't worry. As long as the procedure is followed, I have a way to make them speechless. Mu Qiqi promised the professor. Not to mention the Gu family, even if Gu Xiling came, it would be the same. Chapter 516. The Gu family did not get the news about the autopsy immediately. Instead, the police made some progress. After their investigation, they found out that Gu Xiling's uncle had met the victim recently. With this development, the police immediately summoned Gu Xiling's uncle for questioning. However, this man was like a rogue. He did not listen to the police at all. Not only that, the Gu family also refused all interviews. This family is so troublesome, the professor said impatiently. Now that this scumbag is a suspect, how can he be so arrogant? Feng Shanshan was also puzzled. Even if he is a suspect, the police cannot force him to cooperate. After all, he has his own legal rights, Mu Qiqi explained. Mu Qiqi explained. But since this family is so contemptuous of human lives, I think we can also use some tricks. Recently, the Gu family is in a precarious situation. If they don't cooperate with the police investigation, then this matter can only be made public. The Gu family is very prideful, so they will definitely agree. Are you sure this will work? Definitely. But we can't threaten them so directly. We have to show that the police are helpless. Feng Shanshan nodded and looked at the professor. What do you think? I will try with the captain. Then, the professor got up and went to the police officer's office. After a while he came back. They have already done it. This method was definitely feasible. After all, the Gu family had to care about their reputation. For the sake of the big picture, Mama Gu had to hand over her brother. After all, she could not drag the whole family down because of her troublemaking brother. But she could not ignore her brother. So, she called Gu Xiling and asked her to handle the matter of her uncle. When Gu Xiling heard that her uncle was arrested, she asked Grandpa Gu to go to the police station to get him back. Although Grandpa Gu did not want to get involved in the Gu family's affairs, he did not stop Gu Xiling. After all, he was her uncle. Gu Xiling did not go alone. She found a bodyguard. The three of them went to the police station together. At this time, the police were interrogating her uncle. Qiqi, the Gu family is here. Can you help them? A senior from the police station came to the forensics laboratory and asked Mu Qiqi. Mu Qiqi nodded and took off her white gloves. I'll be right there. I'll go too. Feng Shanshan wanted to see the duel between Gu Xiling and Mu Qiqi at the charity banquet. She had been humiliated several times in front of Gu Xiling. Now that Mu Qiqi had accepted the challenge, Gu Xiling should not be able to humiliate her, right? With that, the two of them walked to the entrance of the police station. Gu Xiling wanted to slap Mu Qiqi when she saw her. But the policeman beside her grabbed her wrist. This is the police station. You're hitting people here. Do you want to go to jail? Gu Xiling's eyes were red. She looked at Mu Qiqi. Was it your idea? For the police to come and demand for him like this. It's only right for the police to investigate a case. Your uncle is now a suspect and has been summoned by the police. It's the most basic obligation to cooperate with the police. What are you unhappy about? Mu Qiqi raised her arms and asked Gu Xiling. What does that woman's death have to do with my uncle? That woman used to be your aunt. Don't you know what kind of person your uncle is? Squandering, gambling addicted, heartless and unscrupulous. You once called this woman aunt. She's dead now, and her bones haven't even turned cold. Aren't you afraid that she'll hear you and come looking for you at night? Gu Xiling was stunned. Let my uncle out. The police did not arrest your uncle. They just want him to cooperate with the investigation. Mu Qiqi emphasized. Don't come here as a rich man. I have more money than you. You want to break into the police station with 2 bodyguards? The last time I saw you, I thought that you were not only vicious but also brainless. You really did not disappoint me. You want to see your uncle? Wait outside. He can leave when the investigation is over. Then Mu Qiqi pointed at the chair at the door. Then, I can let you sit. Mu Qiqi, you're using your power to take revenge. First of all, I'm just a forensic assistant. It's not my job to summon or interrogate. Besides, your uncle has done many evil things. I didn't ask him to do it. You can't accuse me of using your power to take revenge, Mu Qiqi said calmly. Secondly, you don't have the right to be my enemy. Looking at Gu Xiling's face, Feng Shanshan felt very comfortable. She did not expect that Mu Qiqi, who was always reluctant to deal with others, was so eloquent. What was more unexpected was that Gu Xiling, who was arrogant every time they met, did not even have the ability to talk back in front of Mu Qiqi. Indeed, there was always a higher mountain. To prevent Gu Xiling from causing trouble in the police station again, Mu Qiqi sat in the hall of the police station. Gu Xiling had no choice but to wait on the chair outside. But she could not do nothing. So she called Sheng Kai. At this time, only this man could be relied on, even though he had betrayed her. Sheng Kai was also very surprised to receive a call from Gu Xiling at this time. Gu Xiling explained the ins and outs of the matter over the phone. She even gave in and asked for Sheng Kai's help. I'll bring the lawyer over now. Ask your uncle not to say anything before the lawyer arrives. But the interrogation has been going on for an hour, Gu Xiling said. Just wait. Having said that, Sheng Kai hung up and asked his new secretary to contact the lawyer. At this time, Mu Qiqi also asked Feng Shanshan to remind the police to hurry up. Otherwise, when the lawyer arrived, there would be nothing they could do. The interrogation is almost done, Feng Shanshan replied. Feng Shanshan answered Mu Qiqi. It's true that he's a scumbag through and through. Now we're making the final statement. Sheng Kai's reaction was very fast. It only took him half an hour to come from Huang Yao. He brought his lawyer and secretary with him. It was a magnificent sight. When Gu Xiling saw Sheng Kai, no matter how many things he had done to her before, at least at this moment, he was willing to help. It meant that this man still had her in his heart. Kai, where's your uncle? He hasn't come out yet. Gu Xiling pointed at Mu Qiqi with her chin, hinting at Mu Qiqi's role here. Sheng Kai glanced at Gu Xiling, and then walked up to Mu Qiqi. Long time no see. It's been a long time, Mu Qiqi replied. It's a great honor for our police station to be here in person, President Sheng. We're all family. Why do you have to make things difficult for your second sister-in-law? Chapter 517. Sheng Kai was stunned. Then, he looked at Mu Qiqi with a complicated expression. But before Sheng Kai could say anything else, Gu Xiling's uncle walked out of the interrogation room with the police. Uncle, are you all right? The man shook his head, but he was still scolding. You don't want to arrest the real murderer. Instead, you arrest the good citizens for questioning. That's how you do things. Gu Xiling supported the man and did not say anything. But Sheng Kai stood up for his wife again. If you want to summon the Gu family in the future, contact my lawyer first. Mu Qiqi laughed after hearing that. Then she replied, Chief Sheng, I'm afraid you don't know the seriousness of this matter. The victim died a tragic death. The murderer is extremely evil. The Gu family must cooperate with the investigation. Otherwise, when the truth is revealed, all the big families will suffer. By then, no one will be able to save your reputation. You don't have to worry about that. I thought you could share some of the burden with your second sister-in-law. I didn't expect. Chief Sheng, there's no point in pretending. Then, Mu Qiqi turned around and went back to the forensics laboratory with Feng Shanshan. Kai, you've seen how arrogant Mu Qiqi is. Sheng Kai did not say anything else. He only said to Gu Xiling, We'll talk when we get back. Mu Qiqi watched them leave. Then she asked the professor, What's the result? This scumbag denied everything. He did not admit that he saw the victim. Although the police have a witness, they can't do anything without any evidence, explained the professor. If he's covering it up like this, doesn't that prove that there's something wrong with him? He did not cooperate and brought a lot of trouble to the investigators. But it can't be helped. Without him, the police will still solve the case. Let's wait and see. If we can't get anything out of him today, it will be very difficult to summon him in the future. If the Sheng family gets involved, it will be even more difficult. If the Sheng family gets involved, it will be the same as bringing trouble to themselves. Sheng Kai can do that, but Grandpa Sheng will never make such a low-level mistake. So don't worry. Mu Qiqi crossed her arms and answered the professor confidently. She knew better than anyone else how much Grandpa Sheng valued profit. Qiqi, from the looks of it, you don't have the aura of a rich person at all. Just like the appearance of that woman just now, and then the appearance of that man later on. A lawyer, a secretary, and a bodyguard. These are all standard equipment. I don't think you've ever put on such airs before. I am different. Rich people are all the same. But I have an interesting soul. This is the first time I've seen you and Gu Xiling at each other's throats. No, I should say that your strength is overwhelming. Gu Xiling couldn't even retort. Feng Shanshan expressed her admiration for Mu Qiqi. Of course, it was only for once. I Mu Qiqi. I is I. I, you Sheng. I Sheng Sheng Feng Sheng. Sheng Feng Feng. I He Kai Sheng Feng. Su Qiqi Gu. Gu Kai is. Feng. Sheng. Qi Sheng. Sheng Gu. Secondly, Gu Xiling wants her husband's help. but Grandpa Sheng will definitely let Sheng Kai stay out of it. Then the family will fight among themselves. Thirdly, Gu Ziling's tricks are a little low-level in my opinion. She is too arrogant and can't lower herself to act. Her level is not even as good as... Not as good as who? Mu Qiqi wanted to mention Mu Tongxue, but she felt that it was unnecessary to mention her. Anyway, things are not as complicated as you think. As long as you threaten the Gu family with what I said before, they will cooperate. The professor nodded. Only then did he acknowledge Mu Qiqi's identity as a rich person. Now you sound more like it. But it was a pity for the mother and son who died tragically. Although that scumbag of the Gu family is really a scumbag, my intuition tells me that it was not that man who did it. Feng Shanshan nodded. That man is hot-tempered. I believe he slashed people. But pulling out nails, stuffing stones under the body, or putting nails in the dead doesn't fit his character. But he must have some clues. Mu Qiqi thought about it. At night, Mu Qiqi dragged her tired body back home. She fell into Sheng Xiao's arms. Although Sheng Xiao smelled the scent on her body, he did not push her away. Is there any progress? Gu Ziling and the Crown Prince really came to the police station to make trouble. But they are not as good with words as I am. So they did not get anything. Don't worry. The Gu family is not in the mood to care about the uncle's business. After hearing this, Mu Qiqi looked up at Sheng Xiao. What happened? Today, Mama Gu brought her husband to Gu Corporation for a routine meeting as usual. However, during the meeting, the shareholders got into an argument and angered Gu Corporation's chairman. He immediately went crazy and injured someone. Now, everyone in Gu Corporation knows that Gu Corporation's chairman has lost his mind. After listening to Sheng Xiao's explanation, Mu Qiqi sneered. I had a feeling that something bad was going to happen to the mother and daughter. They are in the early stages of schizophrenia. It is very important to treat them in the hospital. They must take medication and take special care. But in order to stabilize Gu Corporation, the mother and daughter let the family doctor treat them. Of course, their condition is getting worse. Gu Corporation is going to be reshuffled. Mu Qiqi did not care about this. Although she and Gu Ziling did not like each other. If Gu Ziling was really in trouble, she would not hit her when she was down. After all, Gu Ziling's methods had never been used on her. I am going to take a bath. I am so smelly. Go ahead, Sheng Xiao said calmly. Hey, aren't you going to take a bath with me? I still have some documents to read. Sheng Xiao replied. Mu Qiqi nodded and got up from the sofa. Then, she went back to her room. At this time, Sheng Xiao took out the ring sketches that the designer gave him. He carefully picked out the ring. He wanted to go abroad with Mu Qiqi for her birthday. But it was too late to get the wedding ring. Even so, he did not want to wear it casually. He wanted to give his little one a surprise. After that, Mu Qiqi lay in the bathtub and saw the news about Gu Corporation on her phone. Papa Gu was officially hospitalized after the media exposed him. Even if Mama Gu had 3 heads and 6 arms, she could not hide this matter anymore. Under such circumstances, how could Gu Ziling interfere with her uncle's business? She really did not believe it. Now, Gu Ziling was probably explaining to Grandpa Sheng at Sheng Mansion. In fact, she was right. When Grandpa Sheng knew that Sheng Kai brought his lawyer to help Gu Ziling in the afternoon, he immediately called him to the study. Chapter 518. Grandpa Ziling is my wife after all. I can't just sit back and do nothing. She's the daughter-in-law of the Sheng family now. She shouldn't get involved with her maiden family. You've seen it for yourself. The Gu family is in turmoil this time. Everyone in Jianchuan knows that her father has gone mad. We don't know how the Gu family will be reshuffled next. Let's forget about what happened today. But don't do it again. Grandpa Sheng reminded Sheng Kai firmly. Sheng Kai knew that although Grandpa Sheng was ruthless, it was the most realistic situation now. If the Sheng family tried to help, Huang Yao would have to pay a heavy price. In the living room, Gu Ziling and Hu Ran had already started arguing. You are the same as Mu Qiqi. You want the Gu family to go bankrupt, don't you? You don't respect me at all. I don't want to argue with you. But let me tell you the truth, second sister-in-law. With the current situation of the Gu family, Even the servants will not respect you, let alone me. Do you think Grandpa will help you? At this time, Sheng Bowen was not home yet. But because Hu Ran did not greet Gu Xiling when she came home, she vented her anger on Hu Ran. I am still your second sister-in-law and Sheng Kai's wife. I can't help it if you want to comfort yourself. Having said that, Hu Ran turned around and was about to go back to her room. But Sheng Kai walked out of Grandpa Sheng's room and said to Hu Ran, apologize to your second sister-in-law. Why? You are still adding insult to injury when the family is in trouble. Is that what you deserve? Sheng Kai made things difficult for Hu Ran to protect Gu Xiling's position in the Sheng family. Third sister-in-law, you'd better show some respect to Xiling in the future. No matter what, she is still my wife and your second sister-in-law. I won't apologize. Having said that, Hu Ran turned around and left. But Gu Xiling grabbed Hu Ran's arm and slapped her because she had Sheng Kai's support. Everyone in the living room, including Sheng Kai, was shocked when they heard the slap. I can't hit Mu Chi-Chi, but I can teach you a lesson. Hu Ran covered her face and was about to step forward when Sheng Bowen, who had just entered the house, stopped her. Xiao Ran. Hu Ran turned around and looked at Sheng Bowen in disbelief. She thought that Sheng Bowen was going to stop her. However, Sheng Bowen stepped forward and gave her 2 tight slaps on her cheeks before she could speak. This is the first time I hit a woman in my life. I dedicate it to you, second sister-in-law. Sheng Bowen said coldly. When I'm not around, you two join forces to bully Xiao Ran, right? Do you think I'm dead? Gu Xiling's eyes were red. She wanted to retaliate, but old Sheng stopped her. Stop, all of you. What a scandal. The 4 of them did not speak again, and old Master Sheng ordered them. Aren't you going back to your rooms? Although Sheng Bowen had helped her vent her anger, Hu Ran still pointed at Gu Xiling and said, I want to see the Gu family go bankrupt. I want to see how you can still act so arrogantly when that time comes. Just wait and see. The 2 couples went back to their rooms, and the 2 women sat on the bed angrily. Sheng Bowen saw that Hu Ran's cheeks were a little swollen, so he quickly got an ice cube and passed it to Hu Ran. Stay 2 meters away from that woman from now on. Otherwise, she will hit you easily. Her father is crazy, and she might have the same genes. Don't hurt yourself just because you are angry. Thinking of the 2 slaps from third brother, Hu Ran was not that angry anymore. Is this your first time hitting a woman? Yes, said third brother. When I am mad, I don't care whether the other party is a man or a woman. I will hit her anyway. You are quite handsome. Hu Ran put her hand on her face and smiled again. Why did you come home so late today? Someone brought some people to the police station in the afternoon and left the mess to me. The meeting ended at 5 o'clock, explained Sheng Bowen. I saw you getting slapped when I entered the house. Does it still hurt? She hit my ear, Hu Ran said. Second brother went to the police station because of Uncle Gu, right? I heard that he was humiliated by Chi-Chi at the police station. So he went home to vent his anger on someone else. Third brother laughed. You don't say. Even with Gu Xiling's character, she did not gain any advantage in front of Xiao Qi. Chi-Chi will become stronger when she meets someone strong. No matter who it is, she can handle them. Third brother saw that Hu Ran's face was getting less swollen quickly, so he held her hand and said, we should try not to get involved in the current situation of the Gu family. We should just watch the show. Otherwise, I am afraid that second sister-in-law will set you up again. Okay. Hu Ran held third brother's hand back. They were about to look at each other when Hu Ran suddenly blushed. Don't sleep on the sofa tonight. I am used to it. You idiot. How can you rest well on the sofa when you go to work every day? She suddenly tugged at his shirt. Listen to me. Third brother was silent for 2 seconds. Finally he nodded. I will listen to you. In the other room, Gu Xiling was really angry. Although Sheng Kai had found an ice cube, she did not use it. Instead, she asked him calmly. Grandfather asked you to go to the study to tell you not to interfere with the Gu family's affairs, right? Grandfather's consideration is not wrong. But as your husband, I will still stand by your side and do my best to help you. Gu Xiling sneered after hearing that. How ironic. But I still have to thank you. Xiling let it go. If the Gu family is in trouble, it will not be good for me. If we continue to fight, this family may really break up. Gu Xiling was still disgusted by the fact that he slept with the secretary, but now it was a critical moment. She had no choice. All right. Apply some medicine to your face. Take a shower and rest. We will go to the Gu family tomorrow. Gu Xiling was full of fear when she thought of the Gu family. The Gu family is in such a situation now. My uncle is being investigated by the police. Kai, can you think of a way to stop the police from pursuing the Gu family? If the matter is exposed, it will be one disaster after another for the Gu family. I will think of a way. Actually, what else could he think of? He could only go to Zhongting and look for Sheng Xiao. He hoped that he would let the Gu family go for the sake of their brotherhood. But this matter had nothing to do with Sheng Xiao. Mu Qiqi was not the main person in charge of the murder case. Would it really work if Sheng Kai looked for Sheng Xiao? It was clear that he trusted Sheng Xiao's ability to interfere in matters, although he was very unwilling to look for Sheng Xiao because it would hurt his pride. Chapter 519. The next morning, Zhongting's secretary received a call from Huang Yao. Sheng Kai wanted to meet Sheng Xiao. The secretary knocked on Sheng Xiao's office door and asked, "President, are you willing to meet him? If you don't want to meet the Sheng family, I can decline on your behalf." Sheng Xiao did not even look up. He was focused on his own matters. He naturally squeezed out 2 words from between his teeth. "I won't meet him." Sheng Xiao did not even look up. He was focused on his own matters. He naturally squeezed out 2 words from between his teeth. "I won't meet him." He could not wait to go home to see his little one. He did not want to meet those irrelevant people. "I understand, President." The secretary closed the door and looked at Sheng Xiao's schedule. Only then did he arrange an unimportant time for Sheng Kai to meet him. Of course, if Sheng Kai wanted to meet him, he would not move a single step away. If Sheng Kai had something to ask, he would have to meet him himself. Huang Yao's new secretary answered Sheng Kai. "Zhongting gave you a time from 1 to 2 in the afternoon. But you have a meeting at that time, President. Postpone it." To be honest, Sheng Kai was really good to Gu Xiling. Now that the Gu family was in a precarious situation, he did not abandon his wife. He did not hold an important meeting just to help her solve her troublemaking uncle. But would begging Sheng Xiao work? He knew very well that it was useless. But since he had asked, he had to put it into practice. Only then could he save his dignity in front of his wife. "Where is the meeting place?" "At Zhongting." Sheng Kai nodded and sent his secretary away. This was good. He could also let him see how shocking and enviable Zhongting was. At 12:30 in the afternoon, Sheng Kai arrived at Zhongting early. But Sheng Xiao was still in a meeting. The secretary led Sheng Kai into Sheng Xiao's office. So this was Sheng Xiao's new kingdom. It was not as luxurious as Huang Yao's office. The whole office was simple, but it was more high-tech and several times bigger. Especially when standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows, one could see the whole of Jianchuan. It was indeed a good place. After a while, the secretary opened the office door. Sheng Xiao walked in. Seeing Sheng Kai sitting on the sofa, he waved his hand to let the secretary out. "What's the matter?" Sheng Xiao put down the documents and sat down on the sofa opposite Sheng Kai. "You've become so calm. I'm not used to it." Sheng Kai looked at Sheng Xiao and felt that he had really changed a lot. The once flamboyant and crazy Sheng Xiao was no longer there. Instead, he was replaced by this calm and composed man. "Let's get straight to the point, Chief Sheng," said Sheng Xiao. "You've heard about what happened to the Gu clan. I'm here today because of Uncle Xiling. He's involved in a murder case, and Qiqi won't let him go. It's not that Qi doesn't want to let him go. It's that he's the one who has fallen into the hands of the police. Although I guessed that you would come, I thought that you would tell me something new about the murder case. It's better to listen to the police's arrangement. As long as you're willing to help, you can definitely stop the police from investigating. First of all, as a legal citizen, while enjoying my rights, I also have to fulfill my obligations. Being rich doesn't mean that I can override the law. I won't do that, and I advise you not to do that," Sheng Xiao answered directly. "You are not a person who plays by the rules. I may not play by the rules, but it doesn't mean that I don't obey the law. It's understandable that you want to help your wife. It's understandable that Chi wants to help the mother and son who died tragically. But let me tell you clearly, I won't interfere in this matter. I can't interfere. Sheng Kai was very serious when he said this to Sheng Kai. After hearing Sheng Zhao's words, Sheng Kai suddenly chuckled. Eighth brother, you've changed a lot. You weren't such a compassionate person before. If you don't have anything else, I have another meeting to attend. Actually, I'm here to see how free you are now after trying so hard to escape from the Sheng family. Sure enough, you're full of freedom. Have you ever regretted throwing the burden of Huang Yao to me? Why should I regret? Sheng Xiao retorted. That should have been your burden. Sheng Xiao laughed mockingly. I thought that after half a year, the Sheng family should have improved. But I'm disappointed. You're still acting so matter-of-factly and self-centered. Whether it's the police investigating the case, or the knot in your heart, does it seem like the whole world revolves around the Sheng family? Let me tell you something. Soon Tiffany and Company will be in trouble. If you still want to work with Tiffany and Company, you'll be relieved of your responsibility very soon. Because Grandpa Sheng will be completely disappointed in you. You and third brother are really in cahoots. I don't need him to know what you're doing. Sheng Xiao got up from the sofa. It seems that you're not really here to ask for help. You don't have such an attitude. If you really want me to remember our relationship, you wouldn't have spoken so rudely. Should I feel sad for second sister-in-law? If I can give you something to convince Xiao Qi, will you consider it? I have everything you have. So, what do you think you can give me to make me agree? Then, why do you want to see me? Sheng Kai's voice was cold. You should know why I'm here. Since you agreed to see me, didn't you give me a glimmer of hope? It's out of politeness. You want to take revenge on me for humiliating you, right? Sheng Kai guessed. When you were down and out, I made things difficult for you. Actually, I want to advise you to let the Gu family cooperate with the investigation. Otherwise, once the case is exposed, the whole Gu family will be involved in a scandal. It'll be even scarier than now. Alright, I've already seen your office. I appreciate your kindness, but I really shouldn't have wasted my time here. Having said that, Sheng Kai got up from the sofa, because he thought that he could beg Sheng Xiao and put in a good word for him. But when he saw that Sheng Xiao was more outstanding than him, his self-esteem started to go crazy again. He clearly had something to ask of Sheng Xiao, but in the end, it became a tit-for-tat between him and Sheng Xiao. However, since he had put it this way, Sheng Kai was not afraid of going overboard. It's fine if you don't want to do it, but if I do it, I won't hold back. If little sister-in-law is hurt, don't blame me for not warning you. You can try. Chapter 520. Sheng Xiao did not tell Xiao Qi, or that Sheng Kai had come to him. After all, the fate of the Gu family had nothing to do with her. The Sheng family thought that Qi, was taking the chance to make trouble for the Sheng family. But only he knew that Mu Qiqi would stand up for her no matter which family she came across today. Hence, she went straight to the forensics lab after class, wanting to know the latest development of the case. Professor, have you found the biological father of the child? The professor shook his head and answered Mu Qiqi. The truth is more complicated than you think. The deceased never had a lover. After escaping from a rich family, she lived alone and worked in a restaurant. The police asked the deceased's colleagues. Her best friend told them that the deceased was forced to give birth to the child. Why would the victim seek out the biological father of the child on her own? Did she have any grudges with anyone? She has a weak personality and never makes enemies out of others. The professor explained. But from the wounds on the body, there must be a deep grudge to do such a thing. It's a pity that the deceased's ex-husband refused to cooperate with the investigation. Did you find out why the victim met that scumbag? No one knows why the deceased died so tragically after seeing her ex-husband. The answer to this mystery lies with that ex-husband. Mu Qiqi propped herself up on the edge of the bed, and could not help saying to the corpse, "Can you tell us more if you want to seek justice for yourself?" The corpse had been processed, and no extra hair or skin was found apart from the victim's own. Nails. Mu Qiqi picked up one of the nails and looked at it for a long time. "Professor, These nails with two sharp ends are called splicers, right? Why? Splicers are mostly used for splicing wood. It's not common to see such things in ordinary homes. I didn't expect that a rich young lady like you would know about splicers. The professor laughed. That's right. It's a splicer. Ordinary people rarely use it. Can we use this attribute to investigate if there's anyone among the victim's acquaintances who could be related to splicers? Or we could investigate the surroundings of the Gu family. We have to find the first crime scene as soon as possible. The police are intensifying the investigation, the professor replied. After hearing this, Mu Chichi carefully observed the body of the baby. If the baby was killed by a fall, then the child should still be alive before his mother died. Would there be any other evidence on him? Professor, what's wrong? The professor hurriedly moved forward. The abrasion on the child's heel shouldn't have been caused by a fall, right? Based on the location of his injuries and the trajectory of his body, when he was thrown into the well before he died, he should have been facing the ground and lying on his stomach. Then the injury on his heel was not caused in the well. There is lime in the wound. The professor quickly took the tweezers and immediately collected evidence. The child must have been placed in a dirty and messy place when he was alive. Chi-Chi, you might have been a great help in finding the first crime scene. Although she did not know the truth or what had happened between the victim and that scumbag, she had a feeling that the scumbag from the Gu family had something to do with it. At night it rained heavily again. Sheng Kai and Gu Xiling were on the way to the Gu family. The current situation of the Gu family was really worrying. I went to Sheng Xiao during the day, but he was indifferent. He thought that the Gu family should cooperate with the investigation. After hearing Sheng Kai's words, Gu Xiling sneered. It's not him. Of course, he can say whatever he wants. For now, we can only let the lawyer stop them. There's no other way. Sheng Kai comforted her. I know. You've tried your best. After all, Sheng Xiao is not an obedient person. Gu Xiling expressed her understanding. Soon they arrived at the Gu family. At that moment, Mama Gu and Gu Xiling's uncle were sitting in the living room anxious. Xiling, I'm really at a loss now. Your father needs someone to take charge of the situation. But your brother is only 17 now. He's at the age where he likes to play. He can't be of any help at all. There's me, Gu Xiling's uncle said. Is there anyone more suitable than me now? You'd better clear up the murder case first, Gu Xiling said coldly to her uncle. Mommy, why don't you do it? I don't have enough shares. The shareholders will not agree to let me join the board of directors. I don't have the mood to care about the company when your father is like this. You still have the cheek to say that, Xiling. I've been good to you before. This time I'm in trouble. You should help me no matter what. After all, you don't want this matter to be spread all over the city, do you? Mom, call everyone in the family here and nominate a suitable person. There are so many people in the family. There must be someone worthy of your trust, right? Mama Gu waved her hand. I'm very tired now. I can't think about this. The Gu family is in trouble now. I really don't know what to do. If you don't mind, I can send some people from Huang Yao to help. It's better than being watched by others all the time. Mama Gu glanced at Sheng Kai and shook her head. I appreciate your kindness, but you have a lot of things to do in Huang Yao. You don't have to work so hard for the Gu family. I can still hold on for a while, but I can't take any more bad news. So, Uncle, what else happened between you and that woman? Is there any secret that we don't know? Gu Xiling asked her uncle. The man with the big round belly was unwilling to admit it at first, but he could not hide it anymore. So he said, I met her in a restaurant some time ago. That B*TCH was living a good life. Of course I was angry, so I humiliated her. After all, that B*TCH made my life worse than death for the past 2 years. Nothing else. Later, I found her place and went there once. I found that the B*TCH had a child. What else? The man touched his head and shook it. What else? I just used force on her. But it didn't work. Then, I left her place. Is that really it? The man nodded. Otherwise, do you think I have the guts to kill someone? Chapter 521. Then you should go to the police station tomorrow to make a statement and tell the police about this. Otherwise, they will keep pestering you. It will be a ticking time bomb for the Gu family. Gu Xiling said to her uncle, "We are in troubled times now. You should know the priority of the matter, right?" The man took a deep breath and nodded. "All right, I will listen to my niece. But you have to come with me, along with my lawyer and bodyguards." "Okay," Gu Xiling replied without hesitation. After that, the two of them returned to Sheng Mansion. At this time, Hu Ran and third brother were having dinner. "You are back so soon. It seems that the Gu family is not as dangerous as the rumors say. Of course, you can't wait for the Gu family to go bankrupt tomorrow. But I am sorry. I am afraid that your hopes will be dashed." Gu Xiling sneered at Hu Ran. "My uncle's problem can be solved tomorrow. That would be the best." The two brothers did not interrupt the quarrel between the sisters-in-law. However, when Sheng Kai thought of meeting Sheng Xiao during the day, he said to third brother, "You and eighth brother have ulterior motives. You colluded with me and did not want me to get what I want, right? It's okay. I will definitely slap your face for the cooperation with Tiffany and Company." Sheng Bowen frowned. He did not understand what third brother was talking about. "Why did you drag eighth brother into this?" "Eighth brother told me about the cooperation with Tiffany and Company. If you did not tell him, how would he know?" Sheng Bowen sneered and answered the same question as Sheng Xiao. "In Jianchuan, there's nothing that eighth brother doesn't know. It was like that in the past, let alone now. His network is so complicated. It's really effortless for him to know such trivial things like you." "I won't believe you." "Whatever." Then, third brother turned to Hu Ran and asked, "Are you done eating?" Hu Ran nodded. "It's a little noisy. Let's go back to our room. One of you is suppressed by your brother at home, and the other is suppressed by your stepmother at home. Don't even think about turning over a new leaf in this life." Hearing Gu Xiling's sarcasm, Sheng Bowen turned around and replied, "Likewise. Weren't they always suppressed by Sheng Xiao and Mu Qiqi?" The winter rain was damp and cold. Sheng Xiao asked Su Che to drive to the forensics lab at 9 at night. By then, the police had found a lot of new clues. On the afternoon of the victim's death, she met Huakong. The lime powder on the child's wound was not ordinary. We checked the construction sites and factories around the place where the body was dumped. Finally, we found a place with similar lime powder. That place happened to be the seaside amusement park that the Gu family was building. We suspect that it was the primary crime scene, but we did not dare to enter without a search warrant. At this time, the police were having a meeting, and the forensic doctor was also listening. "So, Huatsong is still a major suspect." Huatsong was Gu Xiling's uncle's real name. "Captain, I just received a call from the Gu family. Huatsong agreed to come over to give a statement. Then today's meeting will end here. When we interrogate that man tomorrow, we will extract valuable clues." Mu Qiqi rarely stayed in the forensics lab until this hour. When the professor informed her that she could leave, Mu Qiqi had already fallen asleep on the chair. She attended classes in the day and came to the lab to investigate cases at night. This child really did not care about her own body. Even Feng Shanshan knew to rest, and she was still so enthusiastic. Sheng Xiao waited for a while before getting out of the car and went to the police station. The people in the station knew that she was a family member, so they did not make things difficult and brought Sheng Xiao directly to the forensics lab. In the lab, the professor was about to wake the child up. "You came just in time. I don't know what to do with her," the professor said to Sheng Xiao. "Carry her back. It's so cold. She will catch a cold if she sleeps here." Sheng Xiao pulled Mu Qiqi into his arms and hugged her by the waist. Even with such a big movement, she did not wake up. "Chief Sheng, you must remind her to rest. If she works so hard now, won't she die of exhaustion when there are big cases in the future?" "Thank you, Professor." With that, Sheng Xiao carried the little one back to the car and ordered Su Che, "Drive." Mu Qiqi did not wake up at all. She just lay quietly in Sheng Xiao's arms until they reached home. When Mama Sheng saw the usually lively Mu Qiqi being carried home, she quickly asked, "What's wrong, Qiqi?" "Too tired," Sheng Xiao answered. "Then hurry up and take her upstairs to rest." Mama Sheng waved her hand. This child seems to really like solving cases. Sheng Xiao carried her into the bathroom and put Mu Qiqi in the bathtub. When the little one felt the water temperature, she slowly opened her eyes. Aren't I in the forensics lab? Sheng Xiao had already taken off his clothes and stood in front of her. There was a mocking smile on his lips. So, what's the use of you being there? My discovery led them to the scene of the first murder case. Mu Qiqi retorted. That good? Knowing that Sheng Xiao's expression was displeased, Mu Qiqi quickly dragged him into the bathtub and touched his chest. I won't fall asleep from exhaustion next time. I swear. Sheng Kai came to me today and asked me to stop you from investigating this case. Mu Qiqi was shocked. Is he even human? Of course. Since he and Gu Xiling are husband and wife, they will become more and more alike. Why would he come to you? What face does he have to come to you? I still remember how he pretended to sympathize with you when he found out that you were down and out. Why are you so agitated? Sheng Xiao asked, holding her waist. The thing I hate the most about the Sheng family is that in their eyes, they can rely on connections no matter what happens. It's fine if it's business before, but now it's a matter of life and death. It's fine if they don't cooperate, but they still want to disturb the police investigation? Motherf asterisk her. And they still have the face to beg you. Hearing Mu Qiqi's nagging, Sheng Xiao suddenly pinched her chin and kissed her. This person had been too talkative recently. She would chatter endlessly. Mu Qiqi was stunned. Although she was unhappy, she still responded to Sheng Xiao's kiss. Xiao Xiao, the more cases I deal with, the more I feel that people are the scariest. Then do you want to see my scarier side? Sheng Xiao asked, hooking his arm around Mu Qiqi's neck. Mu Qiqi was stunned. Then she shook her head. No. With that, she wanted to escape from the bathtub. But Sheng Xiao pressed her against the edge of the bathtub. You only know how to bully me, because I'm not as strong as you. Mu Qiqi muttered. Chapter 522. How could I not want it? You know I can never refuse you. After saying that, Mu Qiqi simply turned around and looked into his lustful eyes. She fell deeply into them. How can I love you so much? The kiss came like crazy, and the water in the bathtub gradually cooled down. Afraid that Mu Qiqi would catch a cold, Sheng Xiao scooped her out of the bathtub and carried her to the bed in the bedroom. Mu Qiqi was completely out of strength now. She could only mutter, Xiao Xiao, I'm going to sleep. I'm going to the forensics lab tomorrow, because the Gu family is coming. Sheng Xiao hugged her and held her fingers. Her dissecting hands seemed to be getting thinner and thinner. In fact, he just wanted to measure the size of her ring. The next day the weather was clear. Mu Qiqi went to the forensics lab in her husband's car. The Gu family had not arrived yet. However, the police were very efficient. Early in the morning, the captain went to the amusement park that the Gu family was building with a search warrant. But the amusement park covered a large area, and it would take some time before they could get a result. At 9 o'clock in the morning, Gu Xiling accompanied her uncle to the police station. When she saw Mu Qiqi, she sneered at Mu Qiqi. If I remember correctly, you are a student. How can you say that you are not against the Gu family? It's not that I want to be here. Everyone knows that the Gu family likes to act like they are rich. That's why they let me stay here to welcome you. Why? Don't you like it? Mu Qiqi was holding the documents. She was wearing a white coat and looked professional. She looked like an official forensic doctor. My uncle is already in there. Are you satisfied now? The Gu family is very cunning. I don't think he will tell us anything sincerely. But you, do you want to see your aunt's corpse? Who wants to see such a disgusting thing? Gu Xiling looked disgusted. You are so ugly now. You will be worse than a burnt corpse when you die. With that, Mu Qiqi turned and went back to the forensics lab. In the interrogation room, the police were questioning Huakong. How many times did you see her after she went missing? Just twice. The first time was in a restaurant, where I met my wife who had been missing for 2 years. I was very angry, so I investigated her place. The second time I went to look for her. I wanted to ask her why she went missing, but I saw that she had given birth. We argued for a while, and in the end I left. Huatsong was very smart. He knew to hide the key information and didn't mention that he almost raped his wife. The policeman glanced at him and continued to ask, "Was it just a dispute?" "Of course. She's already divorced and has a child. What else can I do? In any case, I'm a reputable person. What time did you enter, and what time did you leave?" "When she got off work, I followed behind her. It was about 6:30 in the evening. When she came out, it was no later than 7:30, Huatsong replied. "Then do you know when she died?" "How would I know? I didn't kill them." Huatsong snorted. "Around 8:30 in the evening." There was a hint of panic on Huatsong's face. "It has nothing to do with me. I really didn't kill her." "Where did you go after you went back? Is there anyone who can prove it?" "Home," Huatsong replied. "I drove my own car. There should be surveillance cameras in the neighborhood. If you don't believe me, you can go and get them. Why didn't you tell the police about this when I came to you before?" "I didn't kill anyone. It's my freedom to say or not, isn't it? Moreover, I really hate the way the police handle cases. The Gu family is a big business and a famous family in Jianchuan City. I don't want to tarnish the Gu family's name because of this," Huatsong replied. "So you're doing this for the Gu family's reputation?" "Of course. If the Gu family has a scandal, it will do me no good. I don't want to lose my position and wealth." The interrogating policeman glanced at him with a strange expression. "I'm afraid the police can't satisfy your wish. The impact of this matter is not something that you can just explain." "What do you mean? You're going back on your word? Didn't you say that you wouldn't publicize it if I came over to explain?" The officer knocked on the table and looked at Huakong. "Whether you are innocent or not, the police will naturally investigate. Huatsong, you are still a major suspect, because the police found the primary crime scene in the Gu family's construction site, which is also the murder scene." Huatsong's eyes widened when he heard this. "What? Go back. The police will send a commissioner to follow you. Cooperate with the police at any time. That's your only way out. You also want to clear your name, right?" Huatsong moved his lips, but in the end, he didn't say anything. He only cursed the bitch in his heart. Why did she bring him so much trouble even after her death? Then, Huatsong left the interrogation room. Gu Xiling walked up to him. "Did you make it clear?" "Xiling, the Gu family is in big trouble." Gu Xiling was stunned. She didn't understand. "What does this have to do with the Gu family?" "The police found the primary crime scene of the murder at the seaside amusement park." After hearing this, Gu Xiling couldn't help but take a few steps back. "What did the Gu family do wrong? Why did they get into trouble because of you?" "Xiling, I'm innocent too." Hearing their conversation, Mu Chichi walked up to Gu Xiling and said, "It was originally very simple. It's the Gu family who deliberately covered it up and made it more complicated. If you cooperated with the police earlier, you might have solved the case by now. But the Gu family chose to suppress you. Even if you had your own concerns and didn't want to cooperate at first, now that things have come to this, if I were you, I would have publicly expressed my support and cooperation with the police. Otherwise, things will get worse than your father going crazy. Mu Chichi, if the Gu family publicizes this matter, it will be like adding snow to snow. The family doesn't belong to you. Of course, you won't feel bad about it. Don't make sarcastic remarks here. You just want my family to go bankrupt. Am I right?" Gu Xiling replied to Mu Chichi coldly. "It's up to you. The police will solve the case anyway. It's just a matter of time. I'm your sister-in-law. Do you like to kill me so much? In your heart, you don't want to be my sister-in-law, do you?" Mu Chichi retorted. "It's because of what happened at the charity banquet. That's why you hate me. You hate me for having designs on Sheng Xiao. That's why you keep pestering me. You think too much. No matter how low Xiao Zhao's taste is, it won't be your turn." Then Mu Chichi left the police station. She had to go back to school after the interrogation of Huakong. Chapter 523. "I'll wait for you," Mu Chichi said calmly to Gu Xiling. No matter what would she Mu Chichi lose to a vase? It was not logical. After that, the murder at the Gu family's amusement park attracted a lot of attention from the outside world. The news of the chairman of Gu's losing his mind had already made Gu's company on the verge of collapse. Now, the murder had made Gu's situation even worse. Huatsong was under surveillance by the police. Gu Xiling was furious. Mu Qiqi wanted to go back to school, but the professor called her halfway. Don't you want to come to the crime scene? Aren't you and the captain at the crime scene? What we see might not be the same as what you see. Come back. I'll wait for you at the crime scene. The professor hung up. It was a great temptation to Mu Qiqi. So, she asked the driver to turn around and go to the crime scene. It was in the basement of Gu's amusement park. There were a lot of building materials there, including the nails found in the victim's stomach. When Mu Qiqi arrived at the crime scene, she saw the serial number on the ground. She did not touch it but squatted down to check it. There is a lot of blood on the ground. But the strange thing is that we did not find any traces of being tied or struggling on the victim's body. Why did she come here with the murderer? Professor, have you found the victim's eyes and fingernails? Mu Qiqi asked. The professor shook his head. No. It's possible that these things are with the murderer. What do you think? There are no traces of being tied or drugged. So it can only mean that the victim came here voluntarily. Mu Qiqi looked at the puddles of blood on the ground and said, a single woman without complicated social connections. So how could she come to such a place? Professor, it might be a child. The murderer took away the deceased child and informed her to come here to look for the child. The fact that the deceased's phone can't be found proves this even more. There must be secrets on the phone that we want to know. The murderer is so vicious, but he did not leave any clues at the crime scene. This shows that he is very good at anti-reconnaissance and is very meticulous. How did he move the body from the crime scene to the dumping site? The professor glanced at her and said, at that time, we had already checked the area around the dry well. No vehicle could have gone there. We also checked the footsteps, and there was nothing suspicious. However, there are many ways to get out of the construction site. Trucks, tricycles, bicycles, electric scooters. Professor, let's go somewhere. With that, Mu Qiqi got up, and the professor followed behind her. The two of them searched for the road from the construction site to the dry well. Soon, they arrived at a fork 1 kilometer away from the construction site. Mu Qiqi squatted at the fork and observed carefully. Then at the end of the fork she saw a tire mark. It's definitely not a bicycle or a 3-wheeled electric scooter that can transport a corpse, because the corpse was not dismembered. Professor, look here. The professor squatted down and saw the width of the tire. I'll ask the forensics team to come over and take photos for evidence. Then, we'll check the surveillance footage. After Mu Qiqi got up, she looked around and found that there were traces of something heavy in the haystack. There should be a huge box here, and the soil in front of the box has been refurbished. This means that the murderer had placed the corpse here before. Moreover, there's a stench coming from here. So, I'm guessing that the murderer must have placed the corpse in a box that looks like a trash can first. Then he left the box here. Passers-by would think that it was abandoned trash and wouldn't be curious. And with the stench, passers-by would not approach it. Then, he carried the child to the dry well and threw him down, because a baby would cry if placed in a car. But why did the murderer not kill the child first, but chose to fall to his death? And how did the murderer move the corpse? I still have no idea for now. Seeing that she was able to discover these things, the professor smiled and said, you've seen many things that I can't see. I'm really getting old. Everything slows down. Professor, you just didn't rest well and lacked energy. Otherwise, how could these things escape your eyes? It seems that the murderer really has nothing to do with that rich man. The professor sighed. Such a meticulous arrangement. It's not a murder out of passion. I think we should also investigate the social relations of the deceased, Mu Qiqi suggested. Mu Qiqi suggested. There are always things that are right in front of us, but we haven't discovered them yet. You're right. Now that this matter has blown up, the Gu family will definitely find trouble with you. You should be careful. Of course. If they didn't find me, I would have forgotten that I'm also a rich man. Mu Qiqi smiled. Professor, let's continue to observe. Perhaps there will be new discoveries. Okay. That afternoon, the news began to broadcast intensively. After the chairman of the well-known Gu Group fell seriously ill, the company encountered a glacier and was involved in a murder case. And the seaside amusement park under the Gu Group is the primary crime scene of the murder case. The police are working hard to solve the case. And according to the investigation, the identity of the deceased is closely related to the Gu Group. Seeing this news, Gu Xiling turned off the television in the living room. But Hu Ran turned it on again. Even if you don't want to watch it, I still want to. Did you do it on purpose? The Gu Group's seaside amusement park cost 10 billion yuan. Now it has become the scene of a murder case. Can the Gu Group continue to operate this time? The stock price has fallen so much that I can't bear to watch it anymore, Hu Ran said to Gu Xiling while watching the news. Your uncle should be more suspicious now. Gu Xiling clenched her fists. She could not calm down. She had to face Mu Qiqi in the day, and Hu Ran at night. No one would have such energy. I don't want to quarrel with you. The Gu Group must have a terrible loss after this incident. What do you know? Hu Ran shrugged and stopped provoking Gu Xiling. What if she lost her mind like her father? However, everyone knew that the Gu Group would not be able to get through this crisis. Just as Mu Qiqi said, Papa Gu's madness was an internal problem that could be solved. But now, it had become the scene of a murder case. Who would be willing to play in this amusement park? After a while, Grandpa Gu came home. When he saw Gu Xiling, he sighed and said to her, "Don't interfere in your family's affairs for now. Don't go home." Grandpa, this is my last kindness to you. It was also because she knew that Sheng Kai was infertile that Grandpa Gu was willing to give in. Gu Xiling did not refute. Obviously, she realized the seriousness of Grandpa Gu's words. Chapter 524. The case had caused a great sensation in Jianchuan. The scene of Mu Qiqi and the professor working in the field was also shown on the news. Everyone in the Sheng family saw it, including Sheng Kai and Sheng Bowen, who had just returned home. They had only heard that Mu Qiqi was studying forensic science, but they had never seen her holding a scalpel. So, they could not associate Sheng Zhao's beloved with this girl, who ran in the wind and rain. However, when they saw her at the crime scene, they understood that she was not playing around. She was very serious. I don't know why, but Xiaoqi looks so valiant. Hu Ran leaned on third brother's arm and whispered to him. She really looks like a forensic doctor. I believe she will have a bright future. She will be better than all of us. Seeking justice for the dead. Thinking of this, third brother smiled. Only she and Sheng Xiao can live like humans. Bitch. If it wasn't for her, the case would not have been exposed so quickly. On the other side, Gu Xiling was cursing. If I have the chance, I will make her pay. Second sister-in-law. It's not that I look down on you, but in terms of ability, you have no other talents other than putting on a show at home. In terms of wealth, let alone the fact that the Gu Corporation has collapsed. Even before the incident, you are no match for Zhongting. In terms of power, she has the mayor and the chief in her family. Moreover, she is used to seeing all kinds of corpses and fighting with all kinds of criminals. Do you think you can fight in front of her? Hu Ran asked Gu Xiling with a smile. Just wait and see. Having said that, Gu Xiling went back to her room. Grandpa Sheng said to Hu Ran, Xiao Ran, I know you have been wronged in the past, but she is still your second sister-in-law. You should know when to stop. Grandpa, it is obvious that second sister-in-law did not know what was good for her. She insisted on fighting with Mu Qiqi. That is why things have gotten out of hand. Not to mention your second sister-in-law. Even I have never thought that this little girl could really endure the disgusting corpses and become a forensic doctor. What else? He had always thought that Mu Qiqi was just playing around. Was she fighting with him? She was too self-righteous. On the other hand, Lu Qianqian and the others saw Xiaoqi's figure on TV too. That night they told Mama Lu, Mommy, Xiaoqi is on TV. I should work hard too. Qiqi is really something. I used to think that since she was a couple with the crown prince of the Sheng family, the crown prince would never let her do such a job. But I didn't expect that not only did she do it, she did it very well. Wrong. Sheng Xiao is no longer the crown prince of Huangyao. Lu Qianqian corrected her. You are doing well too. You have been handling the company's matters well. A few big cases had been approved by the shareholders. You have also exceeded my expectations. If only your father could see it with his own eyes. Seeing that her mother's eyes were red, Lu Chanqian quickly comforted her. All right, don't cry. Why are you bringing it up again? I just want the Lin family to see your outstanding side. My daughter is definitely worthy of old Lin's grandson. Lu Chanqian smiled and comforted Mama Lu. Just eat. It will happen sooner or later. Don't worry. The younger uncles of the Lu family had ulterior motives. But with Lu Chanqian under heavy protection, they could not do anything. Previously, when there were no bodyguards around, they could still release a snake or do some other tricks. But now Lu Chanqian was protected by a female bodyguard and a male bodyguard. Now it would be harder for them to find a chance to do anything. Moreover, Lu Chanqian was a smart girl when it came to business. She had restarted the case that Papa Lu had put aside, so that Lu Holdings would not suffer any losses. That was why the board of directors approved of Lu Chanqian. After all, her training as a successor wasn't for nothing. The people of Lu Holdings had thought that she could not even understand the reports. But in the end, they realized that she could not only understand the reports, but also find the loopholes in them. They believed that soon, Lu Holdings would be back on track. All the suffering seemed to be over. But the matter of the Lin family was still a knot in her heart. She wanted to do something. She wanted to, but dripping water could wear a stone. In the evening, Mu Qiqi dragged her tired body home. She had run too many places today. Her body was at its limit. When Mama Sheng saw her, she quickly went to help her. Mommy, you don't have to. I smell. Even eighth brother can stand it. Why can't I? You are underestimating Mommy. Mama Sheng smiled and said, Go upstairs to take a shower and change your clothes. Fifth aunt made your favorite dish. You must be hungry. Okay. Sheng Xiao had not returned home yet. He had a dinner with Secretary He. Mu Qiqi went upstairs to take a bath. But unknowingly, she fell asleep in the bathtub. If Sheng Xiao did not find her when he got home, she would have drowned in it. In the afternoon, when they were having dinner, Secretary He laughed at Sheng Xiao. This little sister-in-law is really interesting. I did not expect her to become a forensic doctor. It is not easy for a rich family to endure such hardships. So, I will not make things difficult for you today. Go home early. Little sister-in-law must be tired after a long day. She must be very tired when she sees you. Thank you, Secretary He. Sheng Xiao could not help but laugh. Let's go. I will handle the rest. They are all sensible people. They will not make things difficult for you. Then, I will thank Secretary He first. Having said that, Sheng Xiao left the dinner. When he got home, he saw Mu Qiqi soaking in the water. When he looked at her feet, he saw that they were actually blistered. These were not a pair of feet of a young lady. She did not take care of herself at all. Sheng Xiao thought about it. But he still carried the little one out of the bathtub. Then he put her on the bed so that she could sleep more comfortably. When he changed his clothes and went downstairs, Mama Sheng did not see him. She asked, Where is Qiqi? She is asleep. When she is hungry, I will find Aunt Wu. Then let her sleep. Mama Sheng smiled. Her appearance on TV today caused a sensation. Her grandfather, father, and the Shen family are all proud of her. Although Grandpa Shen didn't say it, I can still see from his expression that he still recognizes Xiao Qi's seriousness and dedication. You have all seen it. Only I have not, Sheng Xiao said. Chapter 525. After eating and returning to his room, Sheng Xiao really went to search the news. He wanted to know how much perseverance this little one had used to do this. Now he saw it. Her petite body shuttled through the murder scene and kept going in and out of the yellow cordon. No wonder her feet were blistered. That was the special investigations team. None of the cases they received were easy. Sometimes even men could not stand it, let alone a little girl. After a while, Mu Qiqi woke up from her hunger. When she saw Sheng Xiao sitting beside her, she naturally reached out and hugged her man. Sheng Xiao looked down at her little head. Knowing that she had slept enough, he asked, Hungry? Yes. Muchichi nodded. Get up and eat. I just asked fifth aunt to bring it in. Sheng Xiao pointed at the table beside him with his chin. Muchichi sat up and smelled the fragrance. She quickly got off the bed and sat in front of the table. How did you know that I would wake up soon? I don't know when you will wake up, but I know that you will definitely wake up when you smell the fragrance. Sheng Xiao smiled and unbuttoned his shirt. Then, he took out the medicine box from the cabinet and sat beside Muchichi. Muchichi was stunned. She did not understand what he was going to do. Then, she saw him take out a band-aid and put Muchichi's leg on his body. I know that in the future, running to murder scenes, going out into the field, and even distorting the truth will become your norm. But I hope that when you're injured or in danger, you'll think of me and worry about whether or not I'll feel sorry for you. Muchichi listened to Sheng Xiao seriously. She was a little confused. Logically speaking, this man would stop her. But today he did not. Are you wondering why I didn't stop you from going to the crime scene? Yes. Muchichi nodded. I saw your figure on the news today. I feel that my little one wants to become that kind of person. Since that's the case, why should I stop you? Sheng Xiao bandaged her wound and looked up to ask her in return. That's right. Why should I stop you? Muchichi put down her bowl and chopsticks and threw herself into Sheng Xiao's arms. I knew it. You are the person who understands me the best in the world. But I have a request. Tell me. Muchichi's eyes shone like stars. You're not allowed to miss out on any classes related to grappling, fighting, or self-defense. Other than that, I've also hired professional coaches to strengthen your body. I don't need to arrest the murderer. I want you to learn how to escape. Sheng Xiao pinched her nose. In order to supervise you, I'll spare some time to practice with you. Muchichi wrapped her arms around his neck and nodded excitedly. Okay, I'll listen to you. Let's continue eating. Although the little one seemed to listen to him and obey him in everything, Sheng Xiao could clearly feel how insistent the little one was on certain things. And it was usually him who would compromise when it came to that. After dinner, Muchichi went downstairs again. She wanted to meet Mama Sheng on purpose, so that she wouldn't worry her. However, Mama Sheng had gone to the Shuns, and Papa Sheng was sitting in the living room watching television. Dad, aren't you going to rest? I'll go later. Chichi, is the murderer from the Gu family? Muchichi was surprised that Papa Sheng would care about the result. She smiled and said, I'm not sure yet. Then be careful when you go out. Okay. Muchichi was very touched. Although Papa Sheng rarely expressed his concern for her at home, she knew that her father-in-law was really worried about her safety. The next morning, Muchichi went to school. However, she received a call from the professor halfway. We found the tire marks you found yesterday. It's a blue mini truck. The police have checked the car's owner through the surveillance cameras, but the license plate is fake. So the people in the team searched for the car through the surveillance cameras. Good Lord, after one night, they finally found the location where the car was parked. It was actually near the victim's house. So, have you found the owner of the car? Muchichi asked with concern. The team has been checking the road with the surveillance cameras. They saw the driver of the car, but they can't confirm his identity yet. But Chichi, you've done a great job this time. Then, Professor, please tell me when you found the murderer. I will. Although the professor did not say it, he was much more relaxed than 2 days ago. By the way, the victim's tissue and phone were found in the trash can nearby. It's a low-end residential area with a poor environment. It's lucky that the trash hasn't been cleaned for a few days. But unfortunately, the phone is completely broken. It seemed that the murderer was very close. So it has nothing to do with the person from the Gu family? Sheng Xiao asked Muchichi when he saw her hang up the phone. Not really. Muchichi answered seriously. The Gu family's seaside amusement park is not allowed to enter, unless it's their own construction workers. So why did the murderer commit the crime there? Even if the murderer is not Huitsong, he must be related to him. That's what I think. Sheng Xiao smiled when he heard that. He looked handsome. Forensic Dr. Mu, you're very confident. Not at all. It's all thanks to my dear fiancé's guidance. Then, do you remember what day it will be 2 days later? Of course I remember. Muchichi snorted. You're underestimating me. No matter how important the investigation is, I'll always put your matter first. It'll never change. Sheng Xiao hugged her and was finally satisfied. It was just that Mu Qiqi's appearance on the news yesterday made her a reputable person in the forensic science department. Feng Shanshan could not help but snort when she saw her. Didn't I ask you to deal with Huatsong yesterday? You even went to the scene. The professor said he needed help, so I went. At least you're useful. I know the progress. Feng Shanshan did not continue to be jealous. We'll probably get the result tonight. Do you have any suspects in mind? The direct murderer is definitely not Huakong. The professor said that the murderer parked the car near the victim's house. I think we can think of it as an acquaintance. I think we can interrogate the victim's best friend. The victim has no relatives in the world. She only has a best friend. The police believe whatever she says. Anyway, she's sure that the victim won't say anything. Unfortunately. Chapter 526. At the same time, the Gu family was trying their best to salvage the situation. For example, they admitted their mistake publicly and promised to cooperate with the police in the investigation. But no matter what, the amusement park project could no longer continue. So they put up a notice to stop the construction of all the facilities. Not only that, they also hoped that the workers would not leave for the time being, so that they could cooperate with the investigation. Everyone knew how much money the Gu family had invested in this project. Now that the project could no longer proceed because of the murder case, it affected the interests of the shareholders and investors. So, Mama Gu could no longer hold the fort in Gu Corporation. Seeing this situation, Gu Ziling's confidence was getting weaker and weaker. Recently, she just stayed in her room and did not even bother to see the Sheng family. During dinner, Grandpa Sheng looked at the empty seat and asked Sheng Kai, "Is Xiling not feeling well? Why is she not coming out for dinner?" "She is worried and sad because of what happened in her family, so she can't come out for dinner with Grandpa," explained Sheng Kai. The amusement park project might directly drag down the Gu family. I don't want her to go back, because I want her to be less affected. She must understand Grandpa's painstaking efforts. I don't know if second sister-in-law understands Grandpa's painstaking efforts, but I think you don't understand my painstaking efforts. Sheng Bowen took the opportunity to say to Sheng Kai, "At this critical moment, you still want to increase the investment in Tiffany & Company. I really don't understand. Are you gambling with Huang Yao? We had a meeting in the company for a few hours, and there was no result. Are you still going to quarrel with me when you go home? Third brother, you should know that I am the decision maker." Sheng Bowen shrugged. "Second brother, I don't care what your company does, but you must not fill the bottomless pit of the Gu family. Do you hear me?" "Yes," Sheng Kai quickly said. Then Grandpa Sheng got up and went back to his room. Now only Sheng Kai, Sheng Bowen and the others were left. "Third brother, no matter what happens to the Gu family, at least you are not strong enough to shake my position as the crown prince. So, don't stir up trouble in front of Grandpa." Sheng Bowen wanted to say something, but Hu Ran stopped him. "You'll know when second brother suffers. The two of you only think about letting Huang Yao suffer losses all day long. Traitors." Having said that, Sheng Kai got up from his chair and left the dining room. Sheng Bowen looked at Hu Ran, and then at sixth brother, who was eating quietly. How he wished he could be as free as sixth brother. "Third brother, it wasn't easy for me to come back for a meal. Don't look at me like that." Clearly, sixth brother did not want to get involved in their fight. "You agree with second brother?" "I think second brother has his reasons." With that, sixth brother lowered his head and focused on his meal. Hu Ran nudged his arm, signaling him not to be so serious. "You've reminded him several times, but he doesn't take it seriously. He's the same as Gu Xiling, so there's nothing you can do. Gu Xiling is about to lose her support. Let's see second brother's reaction first. I don't know if Grandpa will keep a woman who has lost power or drive her away." At this moment, the criminal police unit was bustling with activity. After finding out the owner of the car, the police followed the clues and found the major suspect of the murder case. It was really the victim's best friend and her husband. When they realized that it was a double crime, the police brought the woman back to the station and began to interrogate her. They used many traps and finally found some clues from her mouth. It was not until the man was arrested that the woman realized that perhaps the matter could not be hidden anymore. This woman's psychological quality is not ordinary. If the male murderer was not arrested, she would still lead the police in circles. How cunning! So is everything clear? Mu Chichi asked the people in the team. Yes, everything is clear. The victim is really pitiful. It turned out that the victim's best friend had always wanted a child, but she could not get pregnant because she had aborted too many times. In order to satisfy her husband's desire to have a child, she turned her criminal eyes on her best friend. Because she was familiar with everything about the victim, she also knew that she had escaped from a rich family and was alone. Their plan succeeded, and the victim successfully became pregnant. However, after the child was born, the victim found that the child had the same birthmark behind his ear as her best friend's husband. So, she became suspicious and questioned her best friend. This vicious woman was afraid that the victim would call the police, so she schemed with her husband to kill the victim. So, she took the child away and led the victim to the basement. Moreover, she kept using the child as a hostage to make the victim willingly suffer and not resist. The poor victim thought that the vicious couple would let the child go, so she was tortured to death. But in the end, the child was not saved. At that time, how could the murderer stay to attract suspicion? Then, the couple used the excuse of transporting construction waste to transport the body in a truck. Finally, they threw the body into the well and carefully cleaned up the scene so that the police would not find any clues. Pulled out fingernails and gouged out eyes. The fingernails might have left evidence of the suspect. As for the eyes, it was because the vicious woman still felt sorry for her best friend. She was afraid to look into the victim's eyes, so the police officer explained. The murderer has finally been caught. Chichi, you have done a great job. But this matter is not completely over, right? Mu Chichi asked. The police officer looked at Mu Chichi in disbelief and smiled. If not for your age, I would have thought that you have been in the police station for many years. You are so experienced. Because it is not easy to enter the Gu family's construction site. There are so many workers, and it is impossible not to be discovered. The police officer pointed at Mu Chichi and praised her. Smart. That scumbag Huatsong is not as innocent as he looks. According to the murderer, Huatsong and his wife found out the first time he met the victim in the restaurant. Later, the murderer met Huatsong and told him that the victim planned to extort money from Huatsong as his ex-wife. He reminded Huatsong to be careful of his ex-wife and spread rumors in front of Huatsong that the victim was promiscuous, had many men, and had a rotten private life. How could Huatsong tolerate that with his temper? He immediately told the murderer that he would pay the murderer to find someone to rape the victim. The murderer wanted to drag Huatsong down with him. He said that he could help, but Huatsong must provide a safe place. Huatsong thought that the murderer only wanted to teach the victim a lesson, so he arranged for the basement of the amusement park. Chapter 527. On the day of the plan, he wanted to vent his anger before the victim was raped by other men, who knew that he would be beaten away by his ex-wife. And the victim's child was taken away by the murderer at that time. Mu Chichi had goosebumps all over her body when she heard the whole story. Her scalp went numb. Has Huatsong been arrested now? The captain has already gone, the police officer replied. He's a scumbag with a pig's brain, who was used by others. When he is arrested, we'll interrogate him carefully. We'll find out how he contacted the murderer. Mu Chichi looked at the body on the bed. She felt that she could comfort the poor woman's soul in heaven. 2 main culprits and 1 accomplice. None of them could escape. Feng Shanshan also listened to the entire case and sighed, which was rare of her. It's really not an ordinary kind of madness. No matter what, you've been a great help. You've been involved in this case from the beginning to the end. How do you feel now? I just feel disgusted. Although I can comfort the victim, I want to vomit when I think of the cunning faces of the three people, Muchichi replied. You'll get used to it. The professor persuaded her. This is a very valuable experience for you. Look at you. You're famous now. I'm famous myself, okay? Muchichi glared at them. What was the situation with the Gu family now? The shareholders were in the Gu family. The directors were in the Gu family. And the creditors were in the Gu family. At this time, the police came and took out an arrest warrant. They asked Mrs. Gu, "Is Huatsong at home? You police officers come to our house again and again instead of arresting the murderer. Don't you know that we don't see guests now?" Mrs. Gu said fiercely to the police. "Mrs. Gu, please look carefully. This is not a search warrant. This is an arrest warrant. Your brother is suspected of murder. The evidence is conclusive." Mrs. Gu took a few steps back when she heard this. How? How is it possible? My brother told me that he has nothing to do with this murder. Do you believe his words? The criminal's face will not have the words "I killed someone" written on it. Then, the captain ordered his subordinates. Search the house. We must catch the suspect. Although Huatsong felt guilty, he still firmly believed that he was not a murderer, so he would be fine. The Gu family would not leave him alone. However, when he saw the police come to arrest him, he was very confused. Why did you arrest me? How many times have I told you? I didn't kill anyone. You are not the mastermind, but you are an accomplice. The police handcuffed him. Sis, save me. I didn't kill anyone. Sis, believe me. However, Mama Gu didn't look at her brother anymore. She was afraid that she wouldn't be able to control her emotions. Almost the entire Gu family was ruined in his hands. What else did he want? Subsequently, the news also followed up on this matter. Everyone saw Huatsong being taken away from the Gu family. Second sister-in-law said that uncle's problem would be solved. But what happened in the end? Now that she has been arrested, this slap in the face has come too quickly. Hu Ran said to Sheng Bowen as she watched the news. Chi-Chi has done a great job. Gu Xiling didn't know that her uncle was so cunning. Now that she was hiding in her room, she didn't dare to appear in the hall of the Sheng family. She didn't want to see Hu Ran and Sheng Bowen laughing at her. Soon Mama Gu called Gu Xiling. Xiling, Mommy can't hold on any longer. Mom, is the situation that bad? If you abandon the Gu family now, you can still protect your grandfather's business. I don't want everything to be ruined, and you won't be able to hold your head up high in the Sheng family. All the shareholders have withdrawn their funds. The bank will soon come to collect the debt for the Seaside Amusement Park project. The Gu family's shortage of funds will become more and more serious. This vicious cycle will not end well. Your father is crazy. Your uncle is arrested. Your brother is still a coward. We can't turn the situation around. I will beg Grandpa. I will beg the Sheng family to save us. Having said that, Gu Xiling hung up. She couldn't accept the bankruptcy of the Gu family. So she rushed out of the room and knelt in front of Grandpa Sheng. Grandpa, please save the Gu family. Now, I can only hope that the Sheng family can give me a glimmer of hope. Grandpa! Grandpa Sheng saw Gu Xiling kneeling on the ground. He didn't say anything for a long time. Of course, Hu Ran and Sheng Bowen were surprised. They didn't expect Gu Xiling to break down so suddenly. Xiling, it's not that I don't want to save you. But who would be willing to take over the Gu family's mess now? The Seaside Amusement Park project has tens of billions of investment. It's not easy to fill the gap. Moreover, the project has been abandoned because of the murder case. Who would be willing to spend tens of billions just to fill the gap of the Gu family? You have to get over it. Gu Xiling fell to the ground. Tears streamed down her face. It's all because of Muchichi. Muchichi wants to take revenge on me. That's why things have come to this. After hearing Gu Xiling's words, Hu Ran rolled her eyes. Your uncle is suspected of murder. Is this also Muchichi's arrangement? Your uncle chose to hand over the basement of the Seaside Amusement Park to the murderer. It's not Muchichi's doing. Gu Xiling, why don't you look for the reason from yourself? Why are you blaming others? And you are all on Muchichi's side. Xiao Ran, don't provoke her anymore. Sheng Bowen put his arm around Hu Ran's shoulder. At that moment, Sheng Kai came in from the outside. His eyes turned red when he saw Gu Xiling kneeling on the ground. Are you bullying your second sister-in-law again? All right. Don't mention this again. Xiling, you are the daughter-in-law of the Sheng family now. Do your part. That's more important than anything else. Grandpa Sheng sighed and told Gu Xiling. He could only blame himself for being blind. He insisted on building a relationship with the Gu family, and almost let Sheng Xiao and Gu Xiling get together. Who knew that the Gu family would be so vulnerable in just half a year? Sheng Kai glared at Hu Ran and Sheng Bowen. Then, he carried Gu Xiling back to the room. Hu Ran rolled her eyes again. That couple was really unreasonable. After this incident, second sister-in-law will probably list Mu Qiqi as her #1 enemy. Chapter 528. Grandpa probably doesn't want to add insult to injury at this time. He will have a plan. After spending some time with Grandpa Sheng, Hu Ran knew what kind of person Grandpa Sheng was. He was absolutely obedient to his own interests. If he did not take action from the beginning, it meant that he still had some concerns. Oh, by the way, my friend in the entertainment industry is helping you find out something. Third brother suddenly said to Hu Ran, "When are you free? Let's meet up. Can you find out more about that woman? This person is already the most famous paparazzi in the circle. If he doesn't know something, no one else can," explained Sheng Bowen. "Let's try." "Okay." Hu Ran nodded. "Thank you, third brother. You are really willing to take my matter to heart. Even if we are not a real couple, we are still allies on the same boat. Isn't it reasonable for us to do this?" After hearing this, Hu Ran smiled. In fact, she did not understand what kind of feelings she had for Sheng Bowen. In the past, there was sympathy. Later, there was gratitude. Of course, there was also some admiration. But it did not seem like she liked him. Was it because the time was too short, and she had too little experience? But even so, Sheng Bowen was the only husband in her heart. She did not plan to change her husband in this life. In another room of the Sheng family, Gu Xiling sat on the bed and cried for a whole hour. Sheng Kai could not say anything to comfort her. He did not dare to approach her because she would lose her temper. "I knew that Grandpa was ruthless, but I did not expect him to be this ruthless. The Gu family's business is too big. You have to face the reality," said Sheng Kai. "How do you expect me to face the reality? If the Sheng family is not bankrupt, of course you will not feel anything. Without the Gu family, you will still be the daughter-in-law of the Sheng family. You will still be my wife. Moreover, your grandfather's business will be preserved. When I take over as the chairman of Huang Yao, I will be able to make my own decisions. What can't I give you? Why are you so impatient now? You know very well that third brother and his wife are waiting to pick on us. They're waiting to see us make a fool of ourselves. If you cry and make a fuss like this, not only will it do you no good, it will also do me no good." Gu Xiling finally stopped crying. "Do you really think so? A few days ago, although we did have a disagreement, you are my legally wedded wife. No matter what, I will stand by your side. Otherwise, wouldn't I be laughed at by others? As the dignified CEO of Huang Yao, I can't even manage my own backyard well." When Gu Xiling was done crying, she threw herself into his arms. "I will help you. I will help you become the chairman of Huang Yao at all costs. At the same time, I hope you can understand how deep my hatred for Mu Qiqi is. All right." Since he couldn't blame himself, he could only blame others. After Huitsong was arrested, he still clamored in the interrogation room, saying that the Gu family would find him the best lawyer and let him walk out of the police station unscathed. However, the interrogating policeman told him realistically, "Because of you, Gu's is going to go bankrupt soon. You have no other way out but to admit your guilt. I didn't kill anyone. You didn't kill anyone directly, but you provided assistance to the murderer. So you are an accomplice. How can you bear to do that to a woman you have slept with for so many years? That bitch. She made me a joke. I just wanted to teach her a lesson." The policeman couldn't bear it anymore. He slammed the table. "Do you know how long the sentence is for an accomplice who threatens and causes death? At least 8 years. And in this case there is 1 corpse, 2 lives, and a baby. If you still refuse to confess, you will be skinned after 15 years. Think about it carefully. I don't want to waste more time with you now. Hwasong's face changed when he heard 15 years. Do I really have to stay in jail for that long? Do you want me to find the criminal evidence and prove it for you? Hwasong's hands were trembling. He thought for a few seconds and finally said, I'll tell you. Although the police already knew what Hwasong had said, they still felt disgusted, because it came from another scumbag's mouth. Because he and the victim were once husband and wife. The forensics lab let Mu Chichi rest at home for 2 days to help solve the case. Moreover, it was the weekend soon, so Mu Chichi and Lu Chanqian agreed to have dinner together. The little bride that people talked about enthusiastically in the past had now become a capable and experienced female forensic doctor. Lu Chanqian gave Mu Chichi a thumbs up when she saw her. Think about it. You were a coward when you transferred to Eton 2 or 3 years ago. People thought you were easy to bully. But now, you are someone who can dissect corpses anytime. You too? You've changed. Big CEO. I can't offend you now, or I won't get a free meal. Lu Chanqian pointed at Mu Chichi and smiled. They were chatting happily when a figure passing by the door caught Lu Chanqian's attention. What are you looking at? The woman who just passed by seems to be Lin Muan's aunt. You've seen the Lin family? I've seen them in photos. Sometimes I want to live in peace with them. Lu Chanqian stood up. Chichi, I'll go take a look. I feel something is wrong. Let's go together. After saying that, the two of them chased after him. Meanwhile, Lin Muan's aunt was being held by 2 men. It seemed that she could not even walk properly. What are you doing? Lu Chanqian chased after them and stopped them. At that moment, Lu Chanqian could clearly see Aunt Lin's face. It was a clear sign that she was drunk. When the 2 men saw that Lu Chanqian was looking for trouble, they wanted to stop her from being a busybody. But Mu Chichi's appearance made them wary. Isn't this the female forensic doctor? Forget it. Let's go. After that, the 2 men left Lin Muan's aunt and ran away. Lu Chanqian and Mu Chichi helped Lin Mu and into the hotel room until Lin Muan arrived. It's really my aunt. Since you're here, Chichi and I will continue eating. The Lin family probably doesn't want to see me. Lin Muan probably wanted to comfort Lu Chanqian. He grabbed her hand and said, You and Xiaoqi go first. I'll come for you later. Okay. Lu Chanqian nodded and left the room with Mu Chichi. At that moment, Lin Muan shook his aunt awake. Where is this? Muan? The woman on the bed rubbed her head in confusion. She tried to see Lin Muan clearly. Lin Muan was a little helpless. You were drunk by 2 men just now. Do you remember? Those 2 men wanted to bring you to a room. Chanqian saw them and saved you. Aunt Lin shook her head as if she was trying to wake herself up. Where is Lu Chanqian? That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.